This is the story of that quiet night in with Daisy May Cooper literally judging books by their covers. Or the story of that lazy morning lying to the FBI about who you really work for. Or the story of that walk home after some beers followed by spirits hell-bent on their dreadful revenge. From Educating Daisy to Mother, Neighbour, Russian Spy and Ghost Stories, Stephen Fry's definitive collection. For the story you need right now, listen on Audible. Subscription required. See audible.co.uk for terms.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast with Lucas Volvo. Here, wherever and whenever you need them. Visit them in-store or online. It's game day, and this is the home of Scottish football. It's Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Good morning and welcome to Clyde One Super Scoreboard on a huge day of Scottish Premiership action. Celtic are looking to stretch their lead at the top when they take on St.Johnstone in Perth. Whatever happens there, Rangers have the chance to respond later when they welcome St Mirren. There's Hibs Aberdeen in there as well, and we even know who we're going to play at Euro 2024. As if that's not enough excitement for your Sunday, imagine spending 6 hours in the company of Gordon Dalziel, Jim Duffy and Hugh Keevins.
Celtic and Rangers are on trial today. The accusation is they've gone flat, as shown by poor performances in the Domestic League, the Europa League and the Champions League. The jury is out on a bundle of underachieving signings alleged to be a waste of money at both clubs. The case for the defence will have to be made at Perth and inside Ibrox this afternoon. St Johnstone are 25 points beneath Celtic. Craig Levine's side have managed to score only 8 goals this season so far. Celtic's David Turnbull has 7 on his own. So, it looks like a mismatch. If it's not a mismatch, the jury will deliver their verdict and it will be guilty as charged.
Yeah, I think that we'll look forward to the games today, Gordon, as you know. But I think the biggest thing that these clubs must do is start the game well. I was actually at the game in August, way back in August, when St Johnstone drew 0-0 at Celtic Park. I was at that game, and although Celtic had plenty of chances, particularly Matt O'Reilly that day, they didn't capitalise. And Mitrov and the goal for St Johnstone was was very, very good on the day. But I think it's all about the start. Celtic, when they haven't started well at Celtic Park, have went a little bit flat. The atmospheres went a little bit flat. They really need to get after St Johnstone today and make sure that they punish them. Everybody knows Craig Levine's side will be disciplined. They will be organised. It will be hard to break down. But for me, it's all about the first 15-20 minutes. They've got to come out with a real high tempo. Make sure they dictate the game. And if they do that, I think they'll win convincingly.
Yeah, we got some excitement, some drama yesterday, and I'm looking forward to this afternoon's games. Obviously the early kick-off up at Perth, and then you've got second v third. I think that'll be a very good afternoon for Rangers and St Mirren, and Hibs v Aberdeen, another very good game. So 3 very exciting games of football to keep you nice and warm in the cold.
So much to look forward to. 3 games on a Sunday. We can look back on Saturday's action. We can find out if Hugh Keevins has been on the phone to the travel agent trying to book his flights and accommodation to Germany because he doesn't know how to do it online. It is all there. We're here until 6 o'clock, so why not keep us company? As Gordon says, it's cold out there. Get the feet up. Maybe you're out and about in the car. We'll take you through all the action and give you the chance to react to it as well. But we don't have long before kick-off at McDermott Park. Andrew McLean has the teams.
Yeah, you're right, it is cold out here, -2 in Perth, but there hasn't been much snowfall, so we are good to go at McDermott Park. Celtic, of course, looking to get back to winning ways after that draw against Motherwell last weekend, then the defeat to Lazio last weekend. But you go back, midweek, of course, but you look back to last weekend, and there was quite a bit of negativity on the phones on the show after that one. And then there's Brendan Rodgers also constantly going on about needing to add quality to his squad, but that will have to wait. There's a hectic schedule to come before he's able to add anything to it. And there's definitely been a bit of a bounce for St Johnstone under Craig Levine, but his biggest test so far is this one today. He's had one of each so far in his first 3 games, a win, a draw and a defeat. But St Johnstone's record against Celtic is not good. They're winless in their last 27 meetings, stretching back to 2016. As for the teams, 3 changes for St Johnstone. Andy Considine is injured, he drops out. Stevie May and Chris Kane out of the starting lineup as well. Brown, Carey and Jayasimi comes in for a bit of a surprise start. He's only made 2 appearances since joining on loan in the summer. So it's Dimitar Mitov in goal. The back 3, Ryan McGowan, Liam Gordon and James Brown. Dara Costello and Luke Robinson will be the wing backs. Dan Phillips, Graham Carey and Max Kucheriave in the middle. Matt Smith will be supporting Dialang Jayasimi up top. The substitutes: Richards, May, Kane, Jeffka, Olifanwa, Sprangler, Ballantyne, Turner-Cook and Franschak. As for Celtic, well, there is those areas that are the big talking points all the time in midfield and on the wing. There's been a change each in those positions. Paolo Bernardo drops out after starting against Lazio. It's David Turnbull that gets the nod this time round. James Forrest drops out as well. Lewis Palmer, back from that European suspension, is straight into the starting lineup. So Joe Hart in goal for Celtic. The back 4: Alistair Johnson, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Liam Scales and Greg Taylor. Callum McGregor, Matt O'Reilly and David Turnbull in midfield, with Yang and Lewis Palmer either side of Kyogo. Substitutes for Celtic today: Bain, Phillips, Holm, O, Iwata, Bernardo, Forrest, Ralston and Mikey Johnson. The referee for this one is Don Robertson. The VAR is Kevin Clancy.
And now a word from our podcast sponsor, Lookers Motor Group. They've got Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms across Glasgow and the West, so you can find the new or used approved car that's right for you. The Land Rover showrooms can be found in Motherwell, Darnley and the north of Glasgow, with their Jaguar and Volvo showroom found in Hillington. And right now at lookers.co.uk you can browse and shop 24/7, value your part exchange, order and take delivery from the comfort of your own home. Every approved used Jaguar, Land Rover or Volvo comes with a minimum of 12 months warranty, roadside assistance, MOT test warranty, an independent mileage and service history check, software updates and lots more. Check out lookers.co.uk to get your new or used approved Land Rover, Jaguar or Volvo today. Now back to the podcast.
Make me a winner.
Make me a winner.
Your chance to win life-changing amounts of cash every weekday until Christmas. Enter at winhappy.me/wincash.
It'll just be home improvement, a lovely Christmas. I've got 2 boys. It's quite life-changing for us, really.
Terms and conditions apply. UK residents over 18 only. Competition ends 22nd of December 2023.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
Enter for your chance to win life-changing cash every weekday at winhappy.me/wincash.
I have to say, when Andrew McLean said Stevie May and Chris Kane dropping out, I thought, Craig Levein, 4-6-0? Surely not. I think we've moved on from that just about. But clearly, a game plan there for both. Gordon, is there anything that from that Celtic team that jumps out for you?
Not really. I think everybody, the big question mark for the Celtic supporters, probably travelling up and watching it and listening to us today, is who is going to fill that midfield place. You know, he tends to rotate that. The rest of it seems to pick itself just now. I know that Forrest that's been coming in, but when everybody's fit, when everybody's available, Yang and Palmer, the wide players, Kyogo up top, McGregor, O'Reilly, you know, they're always certain picks in the middle of the park. Is it Bernardo? Is it Holm? Is it Turnbull? You know, they're a case for every single one of them. But for me, today, especially up there, I think Turnbull is the best pick. I like Turnbull. I think he brings so much to the party. Set plays, he can get you the goal. I think he's just been a bit unfortunate. He seems to be on a nice roll. He was man of the match at Ross County, got a goal up at Ross County, had scored in the Wednesday prior to that against St Mirren, missed a penalty kick, and then all of a sudden sees himself back out the team. So it's a big opportunity for him.
He's there for one reason. St Johnstone scored 8 goals all season long. Turnbull's got 7 on his own, so that's why he's there. Paolo Bernardo, not up to it. Holm, not up to it. Get Turnbull in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those ones where I think some Celtic fans were maybe looking at just tweaking the shape a little bit and maybe getting Kyogo to play off. I know he's done that a couple of times late in games when he's been chasing a goal, but he's never really started with it. And Kyogo, I think, needs the ball played in earlier. He needs people getting in behind, getting the ball flashed across the goal nice and sharp, and I don't think he'll have done that enough in recent weeks. And I think Kyogo's been starved of opportunities. You still see his movement. If you're at games and you watch him from the stand, he's still making the movement, but the passes aren't coming quick enough. So it might just help him a little bit to have a partner, someone that maybe distracts defenders, particularly with St Johnstone going to be playing 5 at the back. But if Celtic don't move the ball quickly, and I'm sure Andrew maybe tell us later, but I would guess the surface won't be brilliant, although it's a big pitch up there. It does tend to be a wee bit bobbly at times. So I think that's the only thing I would have maybe thought might have happened today, that he might have went with Kyogo in that little 10 position.
Yeah, I mean, David Turnbull is a midfielder, obviously, Gordon. He doesn't play every game for Celtic, and yet he is the top scorer in the league. If it was all about goals, there would be absolutely no debate as to whether he should play. But that one, let's call it Rio Hatate's midfield slot that he's vacated due to injury, it clearly is a real debatable one for the Celtic fans, and maybe even for Brendan Rodgers. You can see in Europe trying to find solutions. Does Bernardo give you more off the ball? There was even domestic games where Home started last week, taken off at half time. It seems like there is not a perfect solution in the eyes of the Celtic fans there at the moment.
Yeah, for me, I feel for David Turnbull. I think he's got to prove himself every time he pulls the jersey on. I think he's a very talented boy, I really do. I can understand sometimes away from home in the European games that he goes with a more defensive type midfield player than Bernardo. But domestically, if Hatate's not playing and I look at the options that Brendan Rodgers has got in front of him, for me, in my personal opinion, David Turnbull all day long.
Yeah, I think he's a fantastic goal scoring midfielder. But I still think that, obviously it's one of those situations where when you're at a big club and you have real competition for places, you have to be consistent in all departments, and I think sometimes, that's the label that, David gets, maybe fairly or unfairly. The one constant, as we know, is Callum McGregor. But I sometimes think that Callum McGregor, for me now, is getting a little bit of the Scott Brown situation, where he was in all the time. Everyone banked on him for maybe 10 years or so, and then the jury started to think, wait a wee minute, should really be, if it's not happening, who's the constant? And there's one or two little, people saying maybe it's time for Callum McGregor to have a rest, and other guys getting the opportunity. But as far as David Turnbull's concerned, we heard Brendan Rodgers' statement today that he won't lose any sleep over his contract situation. I don't know if that's the endorsement you would really like from your manager.
Well, anyway, the most damning stat of all was the one delivered by Andrew McLean when he said you have to go back to 2016, 7 years ago, to find the last time that St Johnstone beat Celtic. Tommy Wright was the manager then, and Ronnie Dyler was the Celtic manager. That's how far back it was. Celtic were bad against Motherwell. Andrew referenced the callers to this programme. You, Gordon, asked the caller after the Motherwell game last weekend, how would you analyse Celtic's performance? Garbage, he said. One word. So they've been to Rome since then and got the stereotypical poor result in the Champions League. Celtic have to come out and deliver a performance and a result today.
Granted that 5 minutes before kick-off in a game that Celtic may go on and win well and stretch the lead at the top, it's maybe not the time for an in-depth look at this debate. But Brendan Rodgers this week has spoken about recruitment. The word quality keeps getting used. We keep getting told the squad is too big. And just when I'm looking at the subs yet again, Gordon, no Mike Nawrocki and no Gustav Lagerbielke on the subs bench, not even making the squad for Celtic at the moment. Nat Phillips he's a short-term loan deal. What do you make of that area?
I find it alarming, the amount of money that's been forked out in these players, and they're not even making the bench, never mind the starting 11. You look at, for instance, would we have thought at this time of the season Mikey Johnson? I thought Mikey Johnson was on his way out as well. James Forrest, I still think James Forrest can give you something else. He can offer you coming off the bench, get you a goal, create something. I still think there's room for a James Forrest. I've said it for day one, Gordon. I think if you look at Celtic just now, starting 11 are very, very good. I'm talking about everybody's fit. Abada back, Hatate. I think the ones that are coming behind, there's a lot of question marks, and I think that's what's concerning Brendan Rodgers.
£7.5 million for those two defenders. Now, this is one man's opinion. Brendan Rodgers says he was involved in all the summertime transfers. In my opinion, I'm not sure that's true, because am I to believe that he approved the spending of £7.5 million on two players, and within a matter of weeks decided they weren't good enough even for the squad.
Yeah, I'm sure that's one we will revisit. Strictly on today though, Hugh, you know the way the psychology works on these Sundays. Yes, there will be an imbalance in the number of games played, obviously, but if Celtic win today, pressure goes on to Rangers. A pressure that they did not handle last week. That's what today means as a package, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Celtic must win, and then at 3 o'clock you've got Rangers under a little bit of pressure, because the allegations being made about them are pretty much the same as Celtic. They've fallen down in the league against Aberdeen when they had a glorious chance to take advantage of a Celtic slip up 24 hours earlier. They've had a terrible result against Aris Limassol. They've dropped 4 points to a team who aren't even the best team in Cyprus, and it's cost them dearly. And now they also have the problem that Celtic have, where people are looking at multi-million-pound signings and thinking they will not do. That's why I say both of them are on trial, and Celtic are in the dock in 5 minutes.
Less than that. Celtic are in the tunnel. Callum McGregor is there, about to lead out Celtic in their usual green and white hoops at McDermott Park, just awaiting Liam Gordon and his St Johnstone teammates to follow suit. Then they'll come out and get things underway. Still morning time in Perth, just about. It's an early start, these Sunday games. We're here for 6 hours, taking you through 3 big games. The man in the middle is Don Robertson. So with the teams in the tunnel and about to come onto the field of play, let's hand back to Andrew McLean, who can take us up to kick off, recap of the teams, set the scene, and let's get this one on the underway.
Yeah, well, Jim was mentioning the pitch there. He's right, it does look very, very bobbly. On another day, I think it would be cutting up pretty badly, but on a day like this, it is going to be absolutely frozen solid. So we'll see what effect that maybe has on the game. But of course, it has been a disappointing week for Celtic, but there's no time to wallow, is there? It'll be full throttle until the winter break. They'll be looking to find that spark, that bit of quality that's maybe been missing in some of their recent appearances. Of course, it is not all bad. They're still unbeaten in the Premiership up until this point. They're still comfortably top of the table, and they'll be looking to, as you say, put that pressure on Rangers, who play a bit later on today. But fans and Brendan Rodgers wanting to see more from this Celtic team at the moment, and they will need to break down a St Johnstone side that you expect will be sitting deep and trying to hit Celtic on the counter, frustrating them. I think that's why Dalziel Jayasimi has been called upon. It's just his second start of the season, just his third appearance since he joined on loan in the summer from Charlton. But he, along with Dara Costello, they have that pace that could be vital if they want to get in behind Celtic. That'll be playing with a very high line, so if they get any chance to get the ball forward, you'd expect the two of those will try and cause some problems with that pace. I'll run you through the starting lineups again as the teams are out on the pitch. Celtic just about to get into their huddle with the captains shaking hands, Callum McGregor and Liam Gordon. For St Johnstone, Dimitar Mitov in goal. It'll be a back five: Dara Costello, Ryan McGowan, Liam Gordon, James Brown and Luke Robinson. In midfield, Dan Phillips, Graham Carey, Max Kucheriabi, Matt Smith, probably the most advanced of the midfielders, and Dalziel Jayasimi, the man up top. For Celtic, Joe Hart is in goal for them. Alistair Johnson, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Liam Scales and Greg Taylor are the back four. The midfield three: Callum McGregor, Matt O'Reilly, and it's David Turnbull that gets the nod to go in alongside them. And then the front three, it's Yang and Lewis Palmer either side of Kyogo. The referee is Don Robertson. The VAR is Kevin Clancy. Celtic have won their last 13 visits to McDermott Park in all competitions. Can they make it 14 wins in a row, or can Craig Levein and his side pull off a big shock here at McDermott Park? Max Kucheriabi is standing over the ball at the moment, and we are ready to go at McDermott Park.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard. Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Make your life that little bit easier. Use their free prescription delivery.
Come on then, what are you thinking today, Hugh Keevins? It's usually miles off. What's your prediction?
3-1 Celtic.
3-0 Celtic.
2-0
1
Celtic.
4
2-0.
Great, thanks for adding that crucial detail at the end.
I was trying to take my time. It's very hard for me. Every single time I predict,
you're last.
I'm last.
That's a good point.
They steal my predictions.
Would you like me to start
and
mixing
Saturday?
it up?
Yeah, next Saturday I think you should come to me first, and then let's see what the boys do.
It's like when they picked the 5-a-side teams when you were playing.
I'm last pick. I was last pick. My 11 aside.
But I mean, it has taken you 7 years to mention this, which I'm not sure is
mentioned
great
it
timing.
last.
Good chance for Celtic inside 45 seconds. It was a beautiful touch from Luis Palma, plucked it out the sky, fed to Kyogo, and his left-footed shot went over the top. But an early warning sign, Jim Duffy.
Yeah, I mean, it was really positive from Celtic's point of view, and the fact that I liked something that a wee bit different from Celtic was just putting a ball in behind early. They normally play this textbook football, having to feet, but played it in behind. A lovely touch by Palma, as you said, and Kyogo, as we mentioned, sharp as attack, first touch, right foot, left foot, just got a little bit too much elevation on it. Ended up over the bar, but a nice positive start from Celtic.
To be honest with you, Duff, I'm looking at Kyogo's touch is absolutely brilliant. I think you'll be disappointed with that.
Yeah, no, hitting the target.
It's not hitting the target. A man of his quality. I know it's very early in the game, but what a touch that is.
Yes, an early warning sign for St Johnstone. I don't know if it is a 4-6-0. I don't know if that's an easy headline, but there's certainly not many recognisable strikers on the pitch. But they do have two sort of in attack at the moment. You can see Max Kucheravi, one of them, and Liam Scales under a bit of pressure over there on the far side as the ball goes out for a throw.
Gordon Dale was talking about the service to Kyogo, and there you have it. Within 45 seconds, proper service from Palma, who is always there to pick out a beautiful pass and has a wonderful touch as well. This is what Yang has to learn. Yang out wide on the other side, instead of staying wide, going wide, gets the ball and cuts inside and runs into traffic all the time. He has to learn from Palma.
I've got to be honest, every time I've watched Yang, I know he got the first goal with a header against Aberdeen. Am I correct in that? He's not really set the head on fire just now. This could be a big game for him this afternoon. Obviously Brendan Rodgers thinks he's a lot to offer, but I think he's still to kick off his Celtic career for me. I've
always got a bit of sympathy for wingers, Jim, because it's especially, you know, in this team and the type of player he is. Watched the Motherwell game last week, high up on his side in the first half, and you're basically judged, can you dribble right past that fullback? Can you leave him for dead? And he couldn't do it, and therefore it seemed, you know, there's no real option to play safe. You know, you can't really do that.
Yeah, and also, you know, listen, a few years ago the winger's job was to get past the fullback and put a cross in. Now that's not the case. There's no point in putting a cross into Kyogo when he's like 5'6" against three big giant centre backs. You've got to put it cut backs. You've got to play it low and hard across the face of the goal. There's different types of crosses. You can't just open your body up. So, and also from a wide player's perspective, you know, sometimes you're asked to go inside, leave space for the full back and all these sort of things. So it's a much more intricate position than it used to be. And Yang, I think he's only 21. I think
yeah, he's still young.
And
he's just arrived.
He came to a different country, different culture, different style of football. Keep saying all the time, we're too easy to judge one way or the other. Somebody comes in and does well for 4 or 5 games. We've seen it with Seema, for instance. Everybody raving, we should really sign Seema a long-term contract, and then a couple of bad games, he's not good enough. So I think we're too quick to judge players. I think we need a wee bit of time. Imagine yourself going to, you know, a foreign country, the other end of the world, and adapting to language, culture, everything.
But everybody says same, Jim, and I'll tell you the reason why. Brendan Rodgers is obviously judged his two centre backs that he paid 7.5 million for, because they're not even on the bench.
You put me out of business.
But the thing is about those situations as well. When he came in, Carter Vickers and obviously Starfield had left, and you know, there was a lot of injuries, so people were saying we need centre backs. So you sign 2 centre backs, and then Scales really comes out from nowhere. Really, no one could have foreseen.
I think for
the form of Scales.
For a lot of fans, though, it's the contrast between Nat Phillips, isn't it? That's fine.
Yeah.
You know, if Scales is the best, and the Celtic fans like the fact that Scales has done well, but Nat Phillips on loan, he keeps his place on the bench. Anyway, here goes Yang on the attack,
and there goes Yang, but not sharp enough.
4 minutes in. I mean, let's give a guy a bit of a chance.
Cold. It's -3 up there.
I don't go for the sympathy and charity.
He's not even warmed up yet.
If he's not warmed up, that's his fault.
See, I know what Jim's saying about the modern day, because the game in our days, I started off as a winger, and you were always coached, you know, knock it by the
sawdust in the
get to the byline, get it knocked by the full back, go and use that blistering pace you've got. That's I can still hear the words echo in my ears, ring my ears. But I still believe that a winger still has to be positive and say to the full back, I'm going to be at you every single minute of the day.
Given that it's so early, I think that's fine from Yang, isn't it? You didn't come off, but you try and commit him. You know, might win the corner, might. I suppose the important thing is that the confidence doesn't go, and he's able to try it again, because he's almost set up the opener. He swings it across. Matt O'Reilly diving in, just couldn't quite get the purchase on it.
Yeah, again, that's exactly what you want there. You know, he's whipped in early. He's just behind the three defenders, and in between Mattarelli, typical Mattarelli, in between the midfield and defenders, just on the stretch. Couldn't get enough on it. But as I mentioned, the game I saw early on the season, O'Reilly had several chances to score, and just one of those days you couldn't do it. But Celtic have certainly started very positively.
Do better, Jim, in your opinion? I know you're saying about on the stretch, but I think Matt O'Reilly on the current form, I think you'll be disappointed. I think Celtic have started really, really well. I've got to say, they're knocking a ball about. They look sharp. They look on it today. They look hungry. St. Johnstone need to dig in here.
Well, I mean, St. Johnstone made it clear, you know, it's about locking the door on Celtic. The team selection would suggest that, but as both you gentlemen have agreed, Celtic have started in a very positive fashion.
Lovely play from St. Johnstone as they do try and get up the pitch. Someone took a tumble, but I don't think there was anything untoward, and it'll now go out for a throw in to Celtic. I suppose St. Johnstone at Celtic Park, Motherwell last week showed that you maybe can lock the door, as Hugh says, on the Celtic team. You always got the feeling that you couldn't do it to Ange Postecoglou's team. You could try all you wanted. Having said that, you still need to get it right, Jim. We always act as if it's really easy. Aberdeen tried it. Aberdeen sat off. Celtic sat back and conceded 6. So it's not like you can just turn up, stick everybody back, and it'll all be fine.
No, again, I go back to the start. I think if you can score within that first 15 minutes, then your game plan is disrupted, and also your players know that. Do we have to change it? And it's much more difficult. But if you don't,
it's a great run. From Luis Palma and.
Free kick.
It's a free kick. I mean, it was a silly free kick, to be honest with you.
I'm always a bit surprised, and I'd like to get a referee to explain the thinking here, because we're laymen, we don't know the way it works. But how can that not be stopping a promising attack?
Yeah, and not getting a yellow card.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, even if it is minimal touch or whatever, once you've given that free kick, do you not kind of have to book a player there for that?
Well, I don't know, it just depends. Normally early on in the game they give it.
That's what I mean. Show me that bit.
Listen, the worst thing's going to happen is that they're going to be debating in next season if they put sin bins in, because that's a cynical challenge, they'll say.
Oh no. the day that happens, I'm off.
You don't want to be the draft excluder on a day like this, do you?
Listen, I don't want to be that person anytime
lying
in my
down
career.
on that freezing cold pitch.
There's only one guy in this, well, not in this studio, but as part of this team that's ever had the embarrassment of being the draft excluder.
It's just there's no draft excluder today.
No, none today.
Thank goodness for that. It's the most ridiculous thing, part of football, alongside one or two other things, but that is so ridiculous. But my pet hate will be the referee not counting 10 yards, because the amount of time you see free kicks are 5-6 yards away and it does my head in.
And now there's the false wall that Celtic will build in front of the St. Johnstone one, and it's hit right into the St. Johnstone wall after all that faff. A dreadful effort from Luis Palma, but Celtic, I was going to say Mitov has the ball, but he doesn't. St. Johnstone all a bit lacking in communication there.
Yeah, I mean, it was poor from Celtic. They tried to catch him. I think as they were moving, they were hoping that the goalkeeper was going to maybe adjust himself to get the ball sorted and maybe try and catch him out, but it was a very, very poor execution from Palman. These are opportunities, and against tight defences and low blocks that you've maybe got to do a little bit better with.
Nevertheless, it's been 10 minutes now of total domination from Celtic. Joe Hart yet to touch the ball. And that they are looking to make that positive start that they have to.
Speaking of the temperature and the draft excluder and all that, have you noticed this pre-match ritual that O does? I noticed him do it at Celtic Park against Motherwell last week, and he was doing it this morning before this one, out on the pitch in his bare feet. Walking around. I think he walks round the outside of the pitch a few times and then does some stretches and stuff barefoot.
Even
in this
in those
temperature.
temperatures. Well,
maybe it's a South Korean thing.
That's incredible.
I don't know.
I wonder what they think.
Yeah, it will be some sort of custom and maybe routine, maybe over maybe in certain parts of the world. Because I think I've seen Hatate do it after a game, and I know he's from Japan and knows from South Korea, but there must be something in it in terms of the way they take
Maybe they're just tough.
Prep.
You know what I mean? Maybe they're just putting one over like Scott Brown used to go out with a short sleeve shirt,
Just
no
take
matter
his shoes off.
what weather it was. So maybe he's just thinking, I'm just going to show people that the weather doesn't affect us.
See, I just want people to realise how my hands are tied behind my back a bit on this show, because naturally what you would want to do in this position is start off a good conversation and say, I mean, Gordon, did you ever have any strange pre-match rituals? But I can't do that with you because
No,
I never
you
know
can't.
what direction
No,
it's
you
going to
can't.
go.
You can't.
So the conversation just ends.
My cup final one will never ever be beat.
I don't want to know. I genuinely
Tell us.
don't know.
No, you can't. I can't discuss.
I think we definitely leave it there. There was a nice
I was
pass.
successful.
Oh dear me.
Hugh Keevins has got it in for Yang already, and
I know.
he's got to him. He can hear him. He's just miscontrolled one. It's went through his legs.
I'll give it another 5 minutes, and if Celtic haven't scored,
He's
I
gone
know
off.
I know what he's going to give it. Oh, it's got to be one of these days for Celtic.
I'll,
It's got to be
All
one of
I
these
said
days.
was, dear me, that a professional footballer could not bring the ball under control in the way that my 10-year-old grandson could.
but see, Liam Gordon just did it as well. But when you're in the middle of the pitch, you're allowed to just turn and go and get it again. But when you're out in the touchline, it makes you look daft.
I'd have loved to have seen Hugh in management. I think he'd be brilliant in the dugout.
That's a booking.
Yeah, I mean, surely this time I think it will be Palma brought down.
Yeah.
Palma has made such a difference. You know, Celtic really miss him when he's not there.
I can't believe McGowan. Sorry, Hugh. I can't believe McGowan's complaining. You know, he just doesn't even attempt to go for the ball.
There's not loads of contact. That's probably what he's trying to suggest. But yeah, he's brought Palma down. I'm reliably informed that O's technique is called grounding.
Oh,
there you go.
Grounding.
And what is grounding? Then?
Well,
You
must
need the
make,
next part of
must
it.
make you
Getting the
feel
feel of the-
closer to the
ground.
earth.
Yeah.
and then he goes and sits on the bench.
Well, yeah. There are various techniques apparently. Turn attention away from your thoughts, memories, or worries. Refocus on the present moment.
Is he got a grounding for his backside? Because it's always on the bench.
Just got to get in the right frame of mind. Never know when you're going to be called upon.
I take it. Then he's got shorts on. No, he's not sitting there with the bare bum.
Well, we'll find out soon.
Free kick Celtic.
Oh.
Mitov doesn't miss much, but he does come and miss that one.
Oh, well done.
It's a free kick.
It's offside anyway.
Yeah,
I was about to
protecting.
bemoan the fact that every single goalkeeper gets protected, but I think it was the flag. Let's take another look at it. It was in swinging.
Yeah, it was offside.
Oh, it depends who goes and gets it. Yeah, that's fine. I thought it was Carter Vickers who jumped, but there we are. Alistair Johnson offside. Did you not think to teach him the offside trap when you worked with him in Canada all those years ago?
Because I didn't have that long a time, I just concentrated on his defending
basics.
and his positional play getting forward. So the attacking side and the defending side's mine, but not the free kick and in the box.
Right, okay.
I'd never top that nonsense.
Good on you. Certainly a bright start by Celtic, maybe lacking that one absolute clear-cut chance. I mean, Kyogo's what? No, do you know what? I take that back, because I think between Kyogo's and O'Reilly's, not bad openings for Celtic early on. I've not seen much. In fact, not seen anything.
I think there's
of
a
St.
sharpness
Johnstone
about
yet.
Celtic today. I listened to Brendan Rodgers in the way in, and he was talking about they didn't play with speed, didn't move the ball quick enough. I think they're starting to do that today, and I think it's causing St. Johnstone a lot of bit of problems.
Yeah, but they've not tested the goalkeeper yet, and that's the thing. You know, 15 minutes gone. You know, St. Johnstone will actually be thinking this is okay, because they're expected, with the way, as you say, the way they've set up, they're basically saying, right, try and break us down. And so far, Celtic haven't come up with that little bit extra quality in the final third to do that. There's another pass from Callum McGregor, which is a complete misunderstanding, and plays the ball out the pitch. And that's a couple of times, Hugh, in the last couple of minutes that's been a bit sloppy.
It's time for subs.
Yeah, I knew you were ready. I usually give it about 15 minutes.
I think we need to ban him from making those shouts today. In the festive spirit, I think we should.
Well, Philip Clement didn't hang about during the week, yeah.
No, 36
Todd
minutes.
Catnell, as we
He
heard
gave it
during the week.
My
It's,
type of guy.
See you later. Get the big hook come out.
And we've heard quite a fair bit about that since. It'll be interesting to see if he plays today and where he plays. And when the
Did you
news from
did
Ibrox.
you ever hook anybody? Or I know you wouldn't have been hooked that early, but did you do it as a manager?
Yeah.
Did you, in the first
Yeah.
25, half an hour?
Yeah, yeah.
Done it a couple of times. Did
Yeah,
you?
if I thought it was wrong, I would. I would certainly make decisions.
Just holding your hands up and admitting to everyone that you got the team selection wrong then when you do that. No,
they were wrong.
All right, okay.
The manager, Jim will tell you, manager's never wrong. They were wrong.
It's like my predictions. Good predictions ruined by bad players.
Exactly. But now again, I just think that Celtic, we've seen in the game, they're dominating the ball in the middle third of the pitch. but it's the top end of the pitch, and that's again why I go back to saying I think they maybe just need. I mean, David Turnbull's been very, very quiet so far, Gordon, and I don't know. I just feel that Kyogo's too isolated. He's surrounded by three big, strong defenders. Listen, he's had two little half chances because of his movement, and he is tremendous, in and around the box. But I just feel he's a wee bit isolated at this moment in time. We need to either get Turnbull or O'Reilly or someone just round about him a little bit to try and create a bit more space for him and try and a bit more support.
Ooh, it's not a great pass out of defence from Greg Taylor. We've not seen any St Johnstone attacks yet, but this could be the first one. It's on the edge of the box. Celtic are trying to crowd it out, and indeed they do.
Well, it's a sign of life from St Johnstone. They've sat in for the first 15 minutes and now they're having a go. Joe Hart yet to touch the ball. He's going to have to touch it now.
He is, and it's a decent save. I mean, there was an element of it that was at him, but it took a bit of a nick.
Deflected.
Yeah, Jai Semi turning, it did take a nick, and Joe Hart had already started his movement, so
he was strong there, Jai Semi. I thought he was that was good striker play for me. He held Scales off, he gave Scales a problem. I thought Scales was too tight and made it very easy, but that was an opportunity for St Johnstone.
It's a high ball from Yang, but it does find Lewis Palmer. It was actually a good move that from Celtic, quite quick from Johnston to Yang, but quickly someone count the St Johnstone players in the box, because that is a line and a half, that, Jim Duffy.
Yeah, that's a back eight.
How did you get through that?
A back eight. But again, I just think that Celtic, I mean, Yang is Hugh was saying earlier, a big loopy cross away to the back post. There's no pace on it, and it allows the longer the ball's in the air and hanging in the air. Sorry, just St Johnstone going to attack there. Then it allows St Johnstone to regroup. They've got to do better, and also they've got to get more support into the box. There was only Kyogo in the box, one player. And as you say, you're looking right across the line there, and eventually Celtic have a couple of players in the box, but it's just not enough and not sharp enough in that final third. They've got to move it quicker. St Johnstone are definitely grown into the game now.
I've had a look, and it's not the hopeless task that might have been portrayed prior to kick-off, while Celtic look for that opening, but Palmer apart, there's no one really providing any sense of danger.
Yeah, I think Scales, we saw him making quite a poor error in the Lazio game where he's a little bit of nudge and give the ball away there. I think he's the wrong side of the defender, and he gambles. You cannot gamble in those situations there, allowing the striker to spin you and use his body and get a shot at goal. To me, he's got to take a little, just a wee kind of half step back, so he can block the turn. But if you get too tight, Gordon will tell you that's exactly what you want.
As a striker,
you're loving that in the box, aren't you?
Yeah, you want to know where the centre half is. You're in control, but good.
Better.
Good play from Celtic.
Big chance Celtic, and we have the opener in Perth.
we don't.
The flag is up. There we go.
Was it David Turnbull?
Yeah,
I think it was. He tends to be there or thereabouts when Celtic score in domestic games.
VAR will look at it.
Yeah, it absolutely will. So it all started with Yang, positive stuff from him down the right, and oh my goodness, it's
don't need to look at that.
No.
Exactly.
Might be the most offside goal we've seen all season, genuinely.
But to be fair, it's just a wee warning sign for St Johnstone. Need to be careful, because Turnbull was just there to tap that into the back of the net.
That's also the type of play Celtic have to do: get in behind and then flash it across the goal. We said that from the very start, and it gives you problems. Big defenders running towards their own goal, they just stick a leg out. Listen, it is offside, there's no debate about it whatsoever, but it is, getting in behind those type of defenders. If you play in front of them all day, they'll be delighted.
Ruined a great stat, David Turnbull having scored
the same amount of goals as St Johnstone.
Well, there's still
time.
There's still a good 70 minutes to go yet.
Better from St Johnstone though, trying just to put a bit of pressure on, stop Alistair Johnson having it all his own way as he looks to clear it up the line.
I think Craig Levein, look, he's given up possession. That's the way he's went about his business today. He'll be happy. His goalkeeper's not really been tested. Yes, I think Celtic have had a couple of half chances. Yang getting behind there, but well offside as well. So far 20 minutes on the clock, you'll look at that and think, yeah, okay, we'll accept that just now.
Gordon, you have seen Celtic often enough, and watching them in the studio and whatever. Are they different now in the sense of, I don't see that. I've not seen it anyway in recent weeks. Taylor and Johnson being more effective going forward. I know Postecoglou played them those inverted roles, and that allowed the wide players to go. But I don't see the two fullbacks now being anywhere near either on the overlap to get crosses in or in those inverted positions.
I'll tell you,
I just don't. I don't know. Are they completely different now to Postecoglou?
Possibly, but I'll tell you who I think is really being missed. Dyson Maeda.
Yeah.
Brendan Rodgers said that he instigates everything for Celtic up front, and that's true. They're missing that perpetual motion of Dyson Maeda. And you're right, the Johnson and Taylor had a terrific season last time out, but haven't looked the same this time out. But I'm trying to cut Celtic some slack here. Dyson Maeda is a huge miss, as is Abada, and of course Rio Hatate. So they are having to get by -3 automatic picks, but for me Dyson Maeda is the one that brings Celtic alive.
Yeah, but Celtic are playing St. Johnstone here.
I know.
I mean, they missed 3 players. St. Johnstone have got one real striker, Nicky Clark, and he's missing. He scored probably 50% of their goals, and he only played a couple of games. But I don't think there's you can say, well, surely a couple of players missing when they play St. Johnstone. Celtic should be more than capable of winning this game.
I just think Postecoglou's team moved the ball a lot quicker, Jim. I don't know what it was. I think Brendan Rodgers is more talking about possession. He'll take his time. It's like a game of chess. He'll move players about and then try and open them up. I totally take on your point, and it's a great point about the two fullbacks. They haven't had the same impact, and I don't know whether that was because it didn't matter who you played against. You knew that Taylor was going to come in the middle of the park, and Johnson was going to come in inverted fullback, and still teams couldn't handle it. It's amazing. Teams couldn't handle it because of the overload, but they don't tend to do that just now as much.
I'm just one of those ones where I'm watching now, and I can see that obviously Johnson and Taylor, but they just don't seem to be as influential as they were previous to that. As I say that, there's Johnson putting a great ball in, but just not as much. Normally they were very integral parts. So nice skill there, but unfortunately lost possession. Celtic are, as you would expect, dominating possession, but Mitov hasn't had a save to make yet, and that'll be the one thing that Brendan Rodgers will be disappointed about.
Yeah, we've passed the midway part. It's a lovely ball that from Alistair Johnson. Turnbull is crowded out. Goal kick in the end. It certainly looked like he had a decent shout for a corner, but there's no real protests, which maybe tells its own story. But it's a nice pass that from Johnson, just curled it into Turnbull.
Good run, good defending. Turnbull takes a nice touch there. I don't know about that. It looks maybe a corner kick for me.
Probably should have been.
Yeah, I thought it was good defending. I did say that, but it was a nice run from Turnbull. Nice timing in a run as well. So
the stats have come up on the screen. In the league, he's got the best goals per minutes ratio by some distance. A goal every 77 minutes for David Turnbull. It's quite something that from midfield, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, he's done that time and time again. Even when Celtic had a poor season a couple of seasons ago, he was the one shining light. But I just think that the change of style, change of management.
Here he goes from outside the box, but it's on his left foot this time. What a save from Mitov. I know there's a school of thought out there that David Turnbull doesn't do enough on his left foot, but my goodness, he caught that one nicely and nearly nestled in that top corner, and that's a top save from Mitov.
Yeah, great play with Turnbull. He come on to, I think he disguised it. Everybody thinks he's hitting that with his right. He comes on his left foot and he curls that, and the goalkeeper gets across. Good save, good shot.
Now an easy one for the goalkeeper, though. That corner goes right in. I know the responsibility tends to fall on the corner taker there, Jim, and everyone looks at him, but the way Celtic players were positioned, does that come into it? Does someone not need to be closer to the keeper?
No, they're obviously looking just to play the ball. They've overloaded the front area. Again, Celtic are not the biggest team. St. Johnstone have got a fair bit of physicality there, so they're maybe looking at something. I always think that a team like Celtic could maybe be looking to be a bit more inventive, maybe taking it shorter, try to create space, try to draw players out. But it was a pure execution and a very comfortable save. after a very good save. So Mitov, as I said, had a terrific game at Celtic Park, and he'll have to have a similar sort of game again today, you would think, the longer the game goes on.
This is not a hugely bold statement. St Johnstone have struggled this season, and they've not had that much continuity in the team and so on, but I mean, Mitov's been their best player by a mile this season, hasn't
he? To be, he comes under pressure.
Yeah, but he's genuinely been very good.
He looks a very confident goalkeeper as well, Gordon. The only thing I'd like to say about St Johnstone, I can't and Jim maybe disagree with me. You're playing 5 at the back, you're sitting in deep, the goalkeeper gets the ball, you put everybody up the park, you punt it up and you give it to Celtic and they come back. Surely at that level you must try and play from the back. You've got a 5-8, even if you talk about, well, Celtic have got 3 up front, you've got a 5-3-3. At least try and keep possession. You're at home.
Yeah, I think that they know that Celtic look to press high, and maybe they just don't want to take that risk, Gordon. That's the only thing I can think of. That because they aren't even attempting it. They're just trying to make sure they get themselves up 50, 60 yards up the pitch. I can get it to a certain extent. I think you've got to mix it a little bit rather than just be all the time playing it forward, particularly when you've only got one striker up there and he's very isolated. But St Johnstone now, as I said, probably just grown in confidence a little bit. Probably the first thing they thought was like, don't lose a goal first 20 minutes, as most teams would do when they're playing Celtic, and then start to grow into the game, and that's exactly what's happened.
Yang does well to win it back in a defensive role. It's eventually out on the other side now. Celtic look to go that bit more direct. O'Reilly's ball's just a bit too floaty, though. It allows the St Johnstone defence to get under it.
Well, Yang, you touched on his defensive capabilities there. He worked very hard, and that is to his credit. But St Johnstone just growing and growing in this game. That's why Yang's had to be good defensively.
Yeah, I think that, as I said, St Johnstone know they're only going to have limited opportunities, but they'll be happy if they can. I mean, I think if they can get corners, free kicks. I said particularly with Carey's normally get terrific delivery. They have those 3 big centre backs. As we mentioned, Celtic are not the biggest team or the most aggressive team in set piece. They lost a late goal against Motherwell last week.
If you look at their season, Jim, they've lost quite a few set play goals. If you're going to score against Celtic, I think set play is your best opportunity.
Without a doubt, and I'm sure Craig Levein will have definitely worked on this sort of situation. They're crowding Joe Hart. They're obviously seeing him as a bit of a weakness in this sort of area there to try and put the ball right on top of him.
Yeah, and that's exactly where it goes. But it's a goal kick. How culpable was he for Motherwell's last week? I felt like at the time more focus went on Greg Taylor and why he was on John Obika, and that was a bit of a mismatch. But
he just looked shocking at the goal.
Joe Hart.
Yeah, and that's why Craig Levein has said there's chances here if you get a corner kick with him in goal. But it came to nothing. But we're almost half an hour in, and there goes another player who couldn't keep the ball under control. Greg Taylor, ball goes out for St Johnstone, throw in. Half an hour in, if you're a Celtic fan in -2 temperatures and you've paid your money to get in, you're not best pleased.
You look at that set play there, and St Johnstone player got a free head at the front post. That would concern me. Look, I think Celtic have been the better side, dominating the possession, of course I have, but not really tested the goalkeeper.
One good shot for Turnbull there. Yeah, that was a good save.
Yeah, sorry, John.
That was the only one.
But apart from that, the odd mistakes starting to creep in. That gives St Johnstone a little bit of hope. They're just looking for anything to handle. Great ball across the face of the goals there. But to come back to Joe Hart, I thought last week against Motherwell he was disgraceful for a goal. I think he's got to do better. An international goalkeeper of his ability, for me, has got to do better at that goal.
I mean, again, I know it's not strictly a set play, but a long throw and just win the first ball, pick up the second ball, and that's the kind of things that Celtic have to do a lot better at. They have to be better defensively, because they must know surely that St Johnstone will play on that. Giving the ball away, I don't know whether they're going to kick the ball out of a St Johnstone player down injured, so St Johnstone have the ball, so they should kick it out really.
I thought it was a free kick for Celtic there, to be honest.
It does look like it's a head knock, so why was it not stopped straight away? But also, in other circumstances, referees tend to take a really random approach to when they stop the game, don't they? Just looking at it, I think it's just the boot of Matt O'Reilly just almost skiffs Graham Carey as they both fall over. I don't suppose that's a particularly nice one in the back of the head.
It comes down and hits him in the head, but it does hit him in the head, and the referee had to stop the game.
But he didn't. It took ages.
He did. I maybe didn't realise it was a head knock. You know, he's maybe because he's maybe focused on the ball. But again, as Hugh said, 30 minutes gone. St Johnstone will be absolutely delighted, and Craig Levine will be thrilled with the fact that his game plan is working at this moment in time, which is, you know, negate Celtic, you know, make sure that they don't get in behind too often. I think they've only been in behind once, really. Make everything in front, and the defenders and the compact midfield can deal with that. And they've had one or two little moments in the last 5-6 minutes that have given Celtic a couple of frights.
Yeah, I think Craig Levine will be delighted.
Yeah,
I really do. You know, Celtic for me come out the blocks. I thought they looked sharp. They were knocking about. Kyogo's great touch, good effort. Tumbles had a decent effort, but as the lads quite rightly said, St Johnstone are starting to just settle into this game. Me personally, looking at this, if they're going to get a goal, I think it would come from a set play. I think that's the best chance to get a goal against Celtic today.
We're back underway then in Perth as Mitov just launches that one up, and there's been a bit of a lull there, that delay to play as Graham Carey picked up a head knock. I think he's fine though, he's been patched up, and on we go.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good player, Carey. He's got a lovely left foot in him. And certainly, as I said, if Celtic give away cheap free kicks, he could certainly one player that punches him.
I'm worried about Yang because with every miscontrol of the ball out the corner of my eye, I don't even need to look at him. I can see him twitching over there in the corner.
Time for change.
I actually, listen, as I said before, you've got to try and defend the boy.
He's offside now as well.
He should never be offside because he's looking right across the line and he's got plenty of time. He's had one or two errors and he just looks nervous now. He looks as if I've made a couple of mistakes. You know, you can probably sense it.
He's
miles off. He's miles off. He's not even close.
That's unprofessional.
Yeah, that's poor. That's got nothing to do with anything other than complete lack of concentration in the game, isn't it, Glenn?
Yeah, I agree with what you said earlier, Jim, that we jump on opinions very early of players, but sometimes we're here to make those opinions, and so far, as I said, but even before a ball was kicked, he's not really impressed me yet. Maybe there's still bits to come from him, of course there are, but put it this way, I think if Abada or Maeda was fit, he certainly wouldn't be on the pitch.
No, I don't think he would be, but he's been brought in. Obviously he's got pace, he's direct. You know, he's certainly not playing well at this moment in time. I suppose like any winger, he can have one little moment. I mean, Palmer on the other side hasn't really done much so far either. Hasn't really come in. He's kind of stayed wide most of the time, and St Johnstone's system has made it very, very difficult for either of those players to have any influence on the game. Another terrible touch here, and these are the things I think that just, no matter where you're tactical, where you're organised, if your first touch is poor at that level, then you know that's unacceptable.
I just see Alistair Johnston there. We were talking about in 30 fullbacks. He's starting to come in a lot more. In fact, he was over on the left hand side of the pitch here trying to get on the ball. Maybe that's just a bit of frustration.
But I think when you're playing against wing backs, Gordon, to me, I'm not listening. Brendan Rodgers, Bange Postecoglou, or top managers, who am I to say? But the fact is, I think when you're playing against wing backs, you need 2v1 situations on the wide area. So I would have Johnson wider, as wide as possible, and then Yang get in a little bit and Palmer get in a little bit, and let the full backs go in the overlaps, because that creates a space, and you can also have diagonals. So again, looking at it, I know the game's change, constantly changing, people are trying to adapt, but you play against wing backs, you try and get as much as possible, get a 2v1 situation when you have possession of the ball.
St Johnstone have possession of the ball. We're 10 minutes away from half time. They are delighted, the Celtic fans are mystified, and it's all gone a bit directionless from Celtic. They've ceased to be that threat that they were in the first 15 minutes of the game.
Starting to become a slow burner, if I'm honest here. It needs everybody, from a neutral point of view, a goal, just to lift everything. But I think Craig Levine will be the happier of the managers, for sure. I think he set his stall out with Celtic. That's a free kick, is it?
No,
he's not giving it. He set his stall out to frustrate Celtic, and so far it's certainly working for him.
Yeah, but again, Alistair Johnson that time away in almost the inside left position we're talking about, hadn't been doing it. So maybe he had instructions from his side to go and try and get himself involved in the play. Graham Carey normally plays on the left, so he's maybe thinking, do I track him? These are the type of situations I think if you get a 2v1, that when the ball goes wide to Yang, that Alistair Johnson, if he goes on the overlap, then that creates space. Again, I'm looking at Kyogo. He's moving, he's coming short, he's going in behind, he's waiting on
Corner,
the ball coming.
Celtic.
But too many touches for me around about the box.
Corner Celtic, a bit more of a sustained attack than we've seen in the last 15 minutes or so. Lewis Palmer's going to come across and take this one on the near side.
You wonder if Celtic can score from the set play. I said that they would probably give up a goal,
Well,
but
if they do, that Craig Levein will be absolutely raging, because there's no way Celtic should score from a direct corner.
It's an interesting delivery to the right foot of Liam Scales to try and volley it into the net, which is an ambitious plan, and it ends up wildly over
no
the bar.
belief whatsoever on that right foot, were they? It was just.
I don't blame him, to be
No,
fair.
no. I tell you what, if that's a natural right footer, if that's for
It is
instance,
tough.
yeah, but I would imagine Turnbull would do a little bit better with that, because I think he's got the ability. But once again, it's come to nothing.
What would the plan have been to try and get Scales to head that back across? It's just gone slightly awry.
No, I think it's just the fact is he's pinged the ball. It's been more of a driven cross. They've maybe had blocks, which has allowed Scales to find a bit of space. And he's probably tried to play it so that he can go and head it, but it's too low. So he's went with his swinger, and unfortunately, you can see that's the reason why he's very left-footed.
It's like sticking a lottery ticket on a
great
Saturday
ball.
night. I wonder if he's
Kyogo.
offside. Kyogo will need to wait and see. He comes back on. It's really good play from him.
That's a dive. It's definitely
it
a
is.
dive.
Played for that.
Yeah.
I mean, he tried to almost get back up, and
Yeah, because he knows he's dived, and he knows he's like he could have picked up a book and he didn't. But
St. Johnstone have the chance to try and launch something at the other end that doesn't happen. I think there's a bit of a flashpoint because Liam Gordon wasn't happy with Kyogo going down.
Is that a head knock? Is there somebody?
Is there a head knock as well? No, it's just
No, he's having a word with Kyogo about. Obviously, he didn't try and claim one there, a free kick. He went for it. You see him here, look, and I think he realises he's made a slight mistake. He's not getting away with that. And I think the referee's just having a quiet word in his ear just to say enough's enough.
Yeah, he anticipated the tackle come in, but the tackle didn't come in. The boy put the brakes on, and Kyogo's went down. But listen, all the strikers will always try and gamble in these situations. But if you do that, then you run the risk of picking up a yellow card.
Would you rather be in here or at McDermott Park, where the roof is now starting to thaw, so it's basically raining in the stand on top of Andrew McLean at the back of the press box?
That's not a nice situation to happen.
Do you know, I think Andrew's got the best of the three this afternoon, because I think the temperatures will go down. I think by the time
another corner at St. Johnstone,
the sniper's dream gets to Ibrox, right? And who's at Hibs today? We got him there.
Fraser.
Fraser. Hibs is a cool place to go. Cool
Johnstone,
stadium away up there.
St. Johnstone are looking for a big boost before half time here, which would set the cat amongst the pigeons.
Yeah, corner from Graham Carey. It's a really good delivery, really good. And in fact, it's scrambled and it's in the back of the net at McDermott Park. Does it stand? Yes, it does.
Told you.
Joe Hart again. To me,
With
looks terrible.
M&D Green Pharmacy.
Very messy. St. Johnstone 1, Celtic 0. Not messy from a Craig Levein point of view. It was a corner. It took all sorts of bounces, all sorts of ricochets, and was eventually forced over the line. And St. Johnstone leads Celtic by a 1-0.
Well, it's a disgrace. The goalkeeper's hopeless.
Well, to be fair, Matt Riley also takes a couple of swings at it and
Yeah,
misses.
well, it's a defensive mess, but Joe Hart every week now that goes in off Scales. So it's one thing.
Oh, it's awful, isn't it? It might actually be a Matt O'Reilly own goal in the end.
Joe Hart.
It doesn't even matter who gets that final touch.
Well,
It's a mess.
I said 5 minutes ago, the best chance
Is that hit a hand on the way in? Hold on.
I'm looking at.
I
see
think
if it
that
hits his
maybe
hand.
hits a hand on the way in here. But is it a Celtic hand?
That's a goal. Is it? Are you looking at a hand?
The right hand.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
It did look as if it bounced up.
No, I think we're good. I think we're on.
Earlier on, Gordon, when we spoke about the first corner that comes in, I'm looking at Celtic defending from corners, and Joe Hart, we spoke about that last week. In the sense of the how he approaches the defending. He had Greg Taylor standing in front of him marking. To me, you want Greg Taylor on the other side, so the outside of the player, so that if the player nudges the goalkeeper, you'll get a foul all day long. But also means he can't come out the way. You keep the player in there. Joe Hart's going around the other way, so he then bumps into his own player. So there's no chance of him getting a free kick. And then he's so weak. I mean, you literally couldn't get a newspaper under him when he jumps.
I don't know if you've seen Joe Hart up close. He's massive.
He's
absolutely massive.
I know.
It's baffling to wonder
but
why.
I think his position, he's standing square. He allows people to crowd him, whereas he should be getting people out the way. He should be saying to his teammates, "No, listen, I will dictate this area. This area around me is mine. Get out the way. I will deal with it." He doesn't. He seems to want extra protection. Now Celtic have got a real problem.
Well, Riley's got to do better as well, Jim. I'm totally with you.
Yeah, he's a fresh air. I understand that.
And they've worked on that. They've looked at last week's goal against Motherwell. Levine has worked on that. They got an early warning. That's why I said the best opportunity, a set play against Celtic. They give up goals. You can go back this season, the amount of goals given up from Celtic, a lot of them will come from set
I'm still
plays.
none the wiser who actually scored. I don't really know who got the final touch. It was about 4 different players at once.
I think
but it doesn't really matter to Craig
claiming
Levine.
it, was he not?
But I think you've also got to look back. I mean, when Brendan Rodgers was at Leicester, they had the most horrendous set play record, in particular corners. They used to lose goals constantly. So there's definitely going to be something there that Celtic have to do an awful lot better on in terms of their organisation and their setup, because to me their setup is completely wrong.
I'll try and put this into context, and as ever, it's my personal context here. Brendan Rodgers is 45 minutes away from a crisis, because if St Johnstone beat Celtic, it's one thing to lose to the 11th best team in Serie A, but to lose to the 11th best team in the Premiership, who started the day 25 points beneath you, and that on top of a draw against Motherwell last week, the lid will come off if Celtic lose this game today.
Yeah, they'll come in for a bit of criticism of that, there's no doubt, Hugh, because if they lose, that's 1 point out of 6 against St Johnstone.
Yeah.
And you look at the 2 games, but I still think there's plenty of football left in this game.
Of course there is, but I think people are just letting Celtic off with the extent to which they have gone off the pace.
I think it's probably because they're top of the league, though, isn't it? Like, it's hard to, for a lot of people, not you, and you did say it was your personal opinion, for lots of people it's hard to square a crisis with being top of the league.
Well, but when you can see that lead at the top of the league, I mean,
sure,
again, Rangers,
but hold on a second. But no one's suggesting it's not ideal or that it's good or that it's desirable. But there's a gap between that and crisis for a lot of people.
I think the fans can see what's going on here, and that's why we had callers last night. The caller who said you can pick Brendan Rodgers' team and you can pick his subs bench and he's not using the squad properly, etc., etc. And people, of course, are making reference to the awful summertime transfer window full of players who are no use to Celtic, and if St Johnstone were to win this match and Rangers were to win their game, trust me, you've got a week ahead of you.
Well, again, I still think that's different from a crisis. Like, you can repackage it all you want. Of course, since the dawn of time, Celtic fans will be angry on Super Scoreboard if they lose games. But that's not a bold prediction.
Well, they are a poor side to watch now.
Yeah, Yang with a run across the pitch trying to launch something before the end of the first half, but that won't do it, that's for sure. It's past such a bad pass that it almost stays in down the corner, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Yeah,
there's definitely just now there's definitely something missing with Celtic.
Yeah.
I thought they started the game okay, sharp. I thought they're right up for us this afternoon. But that Achilles heel, as much as we blame Joe Hart, O'Reilly's got to do better there for me.
Yeah, I know
got
that.
to do better.
He should do better. He's a fresh air at Gordon, but the goalkeeper then job is to try and rectify a defender's mistake or a mistake in there. It bounces up. As Gordon said, he's 6'4". You know, he's built a middleweight boxer. Get yourself up off the ground and go and punch it and clear it, and then say to O'Reilly after it, hey, take care the next time you're in that situation. You know, but that the goalkeeper's got to be doing that. And to me, he just kind of gets a little nudge. It's his own player, as I said. I think the player's in the wrong position and then just falls over and the ball's into net. If you take last week's goal where he again similar, he gets in the wrong position, he comes out into no man's land, has that kind of star look, and again eventually that's
Yang is offside again, and these are easy ones. You know, it's not through you know, not on the shoulder and trying to gamble and running behind. It's the ones where he's kind of standing looking across.
You're looking across the line. There's no excuse for it, Gordon, right? You can maybe the odd one, your concentration goes and you get caught once, but it's constant for the lad. I don't know if he'll come back out at half time. If I'm Brendan,
great options there though.
Well, he can bring. He can say what. No, he can say what Jim. He can maybe bring O on and go Kyogo off him.
Tried that half time last week.
Yeah, but well, if he may try this
I'm not saying that's enough to mean he won't do it. It's just a.
But I think that doing that, getting caught offside as easy as that, in terms of just complete lapse of concentration, that's something that you'd be going off your head at the level I've coached at in a really low levels and or youth football. You know, not a club like Celtic and you know the standards that they set. You know, you've got to be better than that.
The standards have fallen. I mean, the people that they've bought, that this model, the Celtic model, is not doing the job that it has done in the past.
Here is Yang is the reason is he's trying to stay on that time, so he's almost off balance. Matt O'Reilly has it. I think the problem, obviously, Jim, the hardest thing is to go and break down teams and score. But if you can't do that, then obviously go in 0-0. Don't concede a ludicrous goal on top of it. You can understand it. You can't. It's not easy to just turn up and score all the time, but you can't combine that with the way that goal was defended or not defended.
Yeah, I don't think it'd be any surprise the way St. Johnstone have lined up. I don't think it's a surprise to anybody. I think Craig Levein absolutely 100% was going to get his team organised, disciplined. We said that before the programme started, behind the ball, and it was all about the first 15 minutes Celtic to try and score and try and disrupt that set-up and say to them, no, listen, that's not going to work for you today. But the fact that they didn't allowed St. Johnstone to grow into the game. We're all watching it and saying St. Johnstone are beginning to get a wee bit more confidence here, and you could sense it. They had a couple of little chances, little half chances, and before you know it, it's
the half-time whistle has gone. What a 45 minutes that has been. Let's get the eyewitness account from Andrew McLean.
Yeah, St Johnstone 1, Celtic 0. The half-time score, some boos from the away supporters when that whistle went there, and there could well be a shock on the cards with Craig Levein's side leading the league leaders in this one. Despite that, it was a relatively bright start for Celtic. Kyogo with an early effort, just 45 seconds in. Good initial play by Lewis Palmer. Got the ball into Kyogo in the box, but he could only fire over after taking a good touch. Then 6 minutes in, Yang found Matt O'Reilly with a low ball from the right. He was on the stretch in the box, didn't quite make the contact that he probably should have. It was easily gathered by Dimitar Mitov in the end. Joe Hart's first involvement came in the form of a save. He had to be alert to stop Jayasimi's shot on the turn. Then 25 minutes in, we've seen David Turnbull do it so many times in that area just outside the box. This time he shifted it onto his left, a curling shot towards the top corner, but Dimitar Mitov pulled off a good stop to keep it at 0-0. Celtic with all of the ball, but not really testing Mitov apart from that one incident, struggling to break St Johnstone down, being caught offside. Yang especially down this right side, the odd loose pass as well. St Johnstone maybe felt there was a chance for them if they could make the most of set pieces, and that's what happened 5 minutes before the break. A corner curled into the 6-yard box and it was a mayhem in there. Matt O'Reilly directed it towards his own goal. Joe Hart didn't cover himself in glory, neither did Liam Scales, and it was a complete mess, but by some means the ball was squeezed over the line. Dayalang Jayasimi has been credited with the final touch, but whoever did get that final touch, it doesn't matter because the score went 1-0 to St Johnstone. Celtic have it all to do in the second half. The half-time score here at McDermott Park is St Johnstone 1, Celtic 0.
Well, they're halfway towards it as Grace Celtic. To lose a match to the 11th team in the Premiership, they are completely off the pace. They lack inspiration. They lack everything. Everybody knew that Celtic should have bought a goalkeeper in the summertime, and they've let Joe Hart fritter away points, and he's in danger of doing it again today. I do acknowledge that without Hatate, Abada and Maeda, and I think obviously they're a big miss, but this Celtic team at the moment is bang average, and they are in danger of frittering away the lead that they have at the top of the Premiership.
Yeah, I mean, I don't give Celtic any excuses for injuries, because St Johnstone have got a fraction of the budget in the squad that Celtic have, but Celtic, the one thing I do agree 100% with Hugh there, when he used the term inspiration. I think that's a key thing. Celtic don't seem to have someone, an inspirational figure, someone who can really drive the players and lift them from that kind of mediocre mentality that they seem to be in at this moment in time. Dropping points at home last week in the last game, at this moment in time 1-0 down against a St Johnstone side who, listen, all credit to them, they were organised, they were disciplined, they've done their jobs. Can they keep it going for another 45 minutes? That'll always be the test, because when you give someone a game plan and you sit back, then fine, but it's hard as a manager to try and get that balance right in the second half, because the team will just naturally get deeper and deeper and deeper, which will allow Celtic even more possession of the ball. But you can have all the possession in the world, you've got to test the goalkeeper. One save Mitov has had in 45 minutes, that's not good enough from a Celtic perspective.
I'm giving all the positives to St Johnstone. The reason why, they set up with a game plan. Their game plan has worked absolutely brilliantly. They've recognised the Achilles heel of Celtic just now as set plays, corner kicks, throw-ins. They've got it in there, they've caused problems, they've got their goal, they're 1-0 up. Can they hold on to it? I'm interested to see what Brendan Rodgers does. Does he react right away? Because I will be astonished, and I'm not just picking on the lad, but because you could make a case for a right few at Celtic just now, but I'll be astonished if Jan comes out second half.
A big half-time team talk ahead for Brendan Rodgers. Will he make changes? They trail at the break at St Johnstone 1, Celtic 0.
Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard with Call Robert Accident Repair. They'll collect, repair and deliver your vehicle, providing a hassle-free service. Action as it happens, and your reaction from 5 on the open line. This is Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard.
Potential shock result on the cards in Perth. St Johnstone leads Celtic by 1-0 at the break. That will be music to the ears, I'm sure, of Rangers fans who are heading to Ibrox. But as we know, there was an opportunity presented last week, and that couldn't be taken care of, and Celtic do have 45 minutes to try and fix this. Andrew McLean, you can often tell if there is a potential substitution to be made. You could see it last week at Celtic Park. Who's out there at the moment?
Yeah, well, it was quite obvious that when the players came out, Mikey Johnson was out there doing a bit of one-on-one with a Celtic coach. He is now the only player out of the outfield substitutes that's disappeared back into the tunnel area or the dugout, so you would expect that Mikey Johnson is going to come on, and you'd be surprised if it wasn't Yang. He's had a real tough time out there today, hasn't he? I thought he struggled as well midweek in Rome. It was of course a big step up, a level he's not really played at before, Yang, but today he's been caught offside a good few times. He's had a few times where the ball's come to him and the ball's rolled under his feet, so you think it will be the end of his afternoon, and it will be Mikey Johnson, who came on midweek, did have a couple of nice flashes, picked up the ball and was driving towards the Lazio defence just as soon as he came on. He had a nice turn on the touchline as well. It then became a bit more difficult for Celtic. Lazio were in the ascendancy at that point, but he's got a big point to prove. Of course, spent last season out on loan. Mikey Johnson hasn't been anywhere near the Celtic team in the opening months of this campaign, but with the injuries, it looks as if he's going to get his opportunity again today. He'll be desperate to take it.
Just the one change then, no others?
No, it doesn't look like it. James Forrest was also out there doing a bit more of a rigorous warm-up than some of the other players, but he's still out there sort of passing a ball around now with the rest of the outfield substitutes, so I'd be surprised if there were any more changes, but you never know. I'm just counting the outfield substitutes that are out there at the moment.
Kind of had to be Yang, Hugh, and look, whilst Abada and Maeda and there are other injuries, It has to be Mikey Johnson, and that feeds into some of the frustrations for some of the Celtic fans at the moment. But a change had to be made in that area, didn't it?
Without doubt. But the summertime strategy is now coming back to haunt Celtic, because Brendan Rodgers is looking behind him, and when I used the word inspiration earlier, there's not an inspirational figure on the bench. So Mikey Johnson has to come on and see what he can do. Celtic's problem is they need to score 2 goals. They don't look as if they can score 1. This is the start of a 6-game run in the league before Rangers go to Celtic Park on the 30th of December. Celtic are in the mire at the moment. They are mired in mediocrity, and if they lose today, well, take it from me, the fans will be in seriously bad mood, because on top of the Motherwell draw, never mind the Champions League, Celtic can't compete in the Champions League. They're just cannon fodder for the rest. They bank the money and that's the end of the story, really. But if you can't win your domestic league and you're £72 million in the bank that you're always telling people about, then the mistakes are there. Joe Hart, there should have been a goalkeeper signed in the summer. Mistake. The players that they brought in the summer, Brendan Rodgers can't rely on them. That's why he's reverting to past history and bringing back Mikey Johnson. They are in a bad place right now, and these 45 minutes are vital.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all about the result now for Celtic. It doesn't matter how they perform in the second half. If they can manage to turn this around and get the 3 points, it would be, fantastic. For just for the belief going forward. That they're not always going to play well, but they can manage to get results, and that's something they really have to show in the second half. A different type of Celtic. Someone who can get into the trenches and dig themselves out. Roll with sleeves up and give a real up-tempo desire, show commitment and show those travelling Celtic fans who spend really good money week in, week out, that what it means to play for Celtic, and say, listen, we're not going to accept this. We know our performance levels have been way below the standard expected. Let's raise the standard. And I don't care who the manager is, the players have to perform a lot better. Again, agree with Hugh. You look at the 2 options that the manager would have, which would be James Forrest and Mikey Johnson, both players who the club believed weren't of the standard required over the last couple of years, and brought in other players. Now they're having to revert back to those players. That's not always a good sign. But if Mikey Johnson does get the nod, as Andrew thinks he might be the case, then it's up to him to say, listen, I can do a Liam Scales here. I can show that I can be an important part of the second half of the season.
Well, we're talking about Young being replaced at half time, and let's be frankly honest here, it could be any of them. Yep. I don't see any Celtic player that stood up today and showed what they're all about, and I think that's where the problem is. And St.Johnstone have just capitalised in that. They've worked their way into the game. They've been nice and solid. They looked at Celtic at set plays, knew they could cause a problem, got their goal, said to Celtic, come and break us down. You look at Palma's offered nothing. Kyogo's had a shot in the first couple of minutes. The midfield, nothing. Alistair Johnston's playing like he's playing the five-a-side game. He's running all over the place.
You don't get a wee bit of sympathy as a striker for Kyogo. I mean, he's no one gives him the ball. It's like you see him. He makes little darts here, little darts there. They look. Now listen, I know it's difficult because St. Johnstone have got are wrapped around him, but you've got a top player there. You've got to give him opportunities. He's had one decent ball where he's had a half a chance in the first few seconds, and other than that, he's been I don't know how many touches he's had, but could have been anywhere like maybe 7-8 touches of the ball in the first half.
Yeah, I take it then Mikey Johnstone will start out on the left, Palma will go to right, try and get Mikey Johnstone. Now, this is where Celtic are at this moment in time. In the summer, they had a lot of recruitment, a lot of money spent. They're now depending on Mikey Johnstone, that I think that a lot of Celtic fans thought he wouldn't be at the club to go and pull them out a hole this afternoon.
I don't think he thought he'd be there.
4 years and 2 days since Mikey Johnson last scored for Celtic.
Well, he's there, I think, to see if he can provide a goal for somebody else. I'm not necessarily putting the pressure on him to score the goals, but it is indicative of a club who are going back in time, who do not trust the players they brought in.
Well, yeah, today certainly in the case of Yang, specifically on this issue though, I wonder if this is where you do need to just acknowledge injuries to a point, because if Maeda and Abada were available, then you wouldn't see Mikey Johnson. And how many what standard should you expect your 5th, 6th and 7th choice wingers to be?
Well, I don't know. I totally disagree with you, Gordon. I mean, you think Maeda is the only real winger, if you want to call it that, but Celtic brought in different players because they believed that they were better than
that's
the ones they had on
I
the
did
books.
say today in the case of Yang.
But only that one.
Well, Abada would be ahead of Mikey Johnson in the pecking order, wouldn't he?
I just think that Celtic have got. Listen, they've got a way of playing. The philosophy of playing, I get that, but I think sometimes if you've got players injured or missing in that system you want to play,
change it.
Sometimes you've got to tweak the system and maybe play a diamond or play with an extra midfielder and something that just changes dynamic. Certainly Craig Levein knows exactly the way Celtic are playing, and he's certainly got his team organised to stifle Celtic, and so far it's working.
Celtic are at the point now, it's not
back underway, by the way, for anyone who's wondering.
It's not about performance, it's about grinding out a result here and getting 3 points and getting down 9.
And you look at that Celtic team at the moment, and you don't see a lot of grinding being done. They really have to show some resilience and character here, because a defeat at St.Johnstone would be wholly unacceptable to the supporters, and we'll find that out when the phone lines open. And they are at the start of these 6 games prior to the visit of Rangers, and they're in danger of frittering away the lead that they have, and that's because they have no conviction right now, no conviction about them, and a whole raft of summertime signings who are of no use to them.
Mikey Johnson over to the right, Palmer over to the left.
I thought it'd have been the other way about. But I've got
Palmer
to
likes to cut in, doesn't he? On that
I think if Celtic can get an early goal, I think they'll go and win the game. But the longer a game goes and you give the encouragement to St Johnstone to sit in and hang on to that 1-0, it becomes more difficult for you.
Yeah, 47 gone. Let's see what happens in this second half then. As Scales tries to play one over the top. It's a really difficult ball that. Kyogo's crowded out. He's got about 4 round him. O'Reilly still has it. So a bit of responsibility being given to Mikey Johnson to try and come on and make a difference. It's not meant to be impolite to Yang. It probably couldn't be any worse. I don't even mean in the sense that Yang, it just didn't happen from Jim. Even the offsides, it was summed up by that, really.
They're an absolute nightmare in the first half. There's no getting away from it. So I say that can give the boy excuse for long term. And Celtic's a huge step up for him from where he came from to playing, and the expectation, demands. It's huge. And he'll have days like today, and he's got to learn from that. And if he does learn from it and can deal with it, then he can be a player that potentially can be a player for Celtic in the future. But you can also freeze a club at Celtic if you're not capable of dealing with the expectations both on the pitch and around the pitch from the fans. And Yang, to me today, just looked as if he was overwhelmed by the whole situation, and that's a wee bit of a concern.
Yeah, St Johnstone actually have got a pretty good record, when taking the lead. They've avoided defeat in their last 18 Premiership games when scoring first. The records are there to be broken, and if there's one team that could probably do it to you, it would be Celtic. But take confidence from doing all right when they get into winning positions. St Johnstone,
they've got a coach there that works on that day in, day out to make it very difficult to score against, and he obviously set his stall out like that. And as I say, the longer the game goes, Craig Levein will be feeling more confident. He's just got to make sure he doesn't give anything away cheap.
Well, St Johnstone, even before Craig Levein went in, were a side who are based on not losing.
Keel goes through, but surely the flag goes up at some point.
It's not so barely.
Yeah, flag up. There we go. That's the most frustrating part of it. And I understand why they do it. It kind of has to be that way. I don't know if you can take it out, but at some point, Jim, and this is what people always say, a player will end up getting injured or something.
Well, we saw a situation in yesterday's game at Kilmarnock, when Hearts player went through, I think it was Boyce, I'm not sure, but anyway, the Kilmarnock goalkeeper comes running out and absolutely smashes the player, gets a yellow card for it, could have been a red, but then you look and he's offside, so they give the offside, but the goalkeeper and the player are coming together in a collision that could have resulted in a serious injury. So I think there has to be, like the earlier on one when the Celtics, when Turnbull scored, when Yang's miles offside. I think when it's miles offside, put your flag up. If it's touch and go and you're not, absolutely, sure, then fair enough. But I think when it's miles off, you go for it.
That one actually was a bit closer than I thought it was going to be. When I saw Kyogo in so much space, but he wasn't terribly off. Yeah. Timing wise, but anyway, on we go, and it's still 1-0 as we approach the 50th minute mark. Joe, but the pitch,
lucky.
It's getting slippier.
It does, yeah. Because I've noticed both sides, and it's bobbling around all over the place. There was a slip from Celtic, then a slip from St Johnstone, who couldn't capitalise on the first slip.
Yeah, but the pitch in December, I mentioned before the game, I said it's a big pitch, but it does tend to get a bit bobbly. For St Johnstone's point of view, they'll be delighted that Celtic can't be slick, but again, another poor. But Joe Hart's initial pass is nothing to do with the pitch or conditions.
No.
It's just, again, lapses of concentration, just sloppy play and putting herself under pressure. But as I mentioned earlier on, Gordon, St Johnstone have been doing this for 2 or 3 years, playing this way, because they've never had a goal scorer. They've never had a natural goal scorer, so they're notoriously difficult to beat. That's what they base themselves on. They will not be fazed whatsoever by Celtic having possession here. They will be enjoying this challenge. Actually, it's up to Celtic to change the dynamics of the game here,
and they look unlikely to do that at the moment. It's all insipid from Celtic.
Mikey Johnson flashes one across, it's headed away, but it's not completely gone yet. I know this is a minimum requirement, but we can only analyse the 6 minutes. Gordon, Mikey Johnson has been positive as Callum McGregor lashes a really poor shot wide.
Yeah, he's got on the ball, got a couple of crosses into the box, looks lively. That's why he was brought on, to try and give a bit of spark to Celtic somewhere. He's certainly trying that. I would be asking for a little bit more of Palmer as well. O'Reilly, who is a magnificent player, not influenced this game. McGregor, not influenced it. Turnbull, not influenced it at all.
No. It's been quite scrappy, hasn't it?
Very scrappy. It's been poor.
It's not like all these players are. Like, I don't feel like I've even seen many of these players that you mentioned. I've seen Callum McGregor misplace a couple. That was a poor shot. It just seems quite, it seems a bit scrappy and disjointed.
You can't turn to the bench, to Paulo Bernardo or Home, because they'll come on and just make it even worse. So that's the position that they're in.
Yeah, but I still think the players on the pitch should be a lot better, Hugh, regardless of that.
Course,
I mean, I know Celtic base himself on competition for places and that, but the players that are currently on, as Gordon was mentioning there, they're not playing anywhere near the level that they're capable of playing.
It's a decent ball from Alistair Johnson. It's not going to carve a shooting opportunity initially, but when it comes back in, poor from St Johnstone. I think the direction on the header didn't have to go backwards. It's gone out for a corner to Celtic. Palmer's taking his gloves off.
I think St Johnstone have not really got any concern about giving away a corner. They'll believe that they can deal with this, but we saw in the first half that Liam Scales did get a free opportunity.
Yeah, so it's Palmer again. It's that driven ball. It's a good one, and actually it takes a good block. Matt O'Reilly got there and got the header, but it came off a St Johnstone body.
I've got to say, I think that's a great ball. That's a great ball, drilled in. I think it's very hard to defend. O'Reilly, I think, should do a little bit better.
Oh, just blocked in front of him, though, isn't it? Oh, flashed across by O'Reilly, well cut out. St Johnstone are defending well, Jim. It only takes an inch to, in the wrong place, and that ends up getting
that's the right type of ball to try. That whipped in ball right across the goal. See again, Kyogo on the blind side of the defender that time. If the defender's not in the right position, it's a tap in for Kyogo, and they've got to do that more often. O'Reilly getting into that little inside right channel or inside left channel in behind the midfield. Phillips has been very, very good screening there in front of that back five.
Oh, nice passes, great save from Mitov. That's Celtic's best chance of the game.
Got to score, surely.
I've got to say, I think it's a great pass, great run. But I do agree with that, Jim. But I'll tell you what,
so quick, the keeper.
I'm giving.
So quick.
I'm not a goalkeeper fan, but I'm giving.
I'm impressed with you there, because you never give goalies credit. You never do it.
I thought the goalkeeper was terrific.
It's Celtic's best chance, though. It was a really nice pass from Alistair Johnson. Kyogo was through. Mitov was razor sharp off his line, and it meant Kyogo didn't get the space to either lift it or put it beyond him. And it's going to take a bit of that, Jim, isn't it? You're very unlikely to take points off Celtic and have them not create anything at all.
Yeah, well, said Meathoff's a good goalkeeper, and he had a fantastic game at Celtic Park in the 0-0 way back in August. He's had 2 great saves today. One from Turnbull in the first half, and obviously Kyogo there. Again, I just think Kyogo, with the quality he's got, has got enough time just to get a wee dink on it and give the goalkeeper a different kind of problem. You're right, the goalkeeper sprinted out, shut the space down very, very quickly. But I still think that Kyogo's quality is a terrific run from Kyogo. Again, that perfect timing, but he's just tried to, the goalkeeper's managed, I think it was his knees or his thighs, he managed to block it.
Celtic putting a bit of pressure on, but that's a wayward one. I don't think Mikey Johnson was ever really in a position where he could have brought it under control, tried to lash at it, and away it goes. We're just seeing the Meatov one again. Look, by the time Kyogo connects with it, Gordon, he's right on him, isn't he?
Yeah, listen, I know what the boys are saying. It's very easy to say, well, just dink over him. We've all been there. I'll give credit to the goalkeeper on this occasion. I thought he was right at Kyogo before he gave him a chance to even think. So for me, that's good goalkeeping, but good play from Celtic.
O is warming up for Celtic as well.
With his boots on.
He's got his boots on, which is encouraging. Wonder if we'd see that change. And Jim, if that is the case, he wouldn't take Kyogo off this time, would he? He did it last week.
Can't take Kyogo off. Can't take Kyogo off.
He would take Turnbull off.
He's got. I don't even think he'd take Turnbull off. I think he maybe even, I don't know,
Palmer, even.
Possibly Palmer. But listen, unless he could change his shape. But I just think that it's something he's got to leave players on that can score goals and be creative. I'd be surprised if it was David Turnbull. You never know. And again, a little misunderstanding, a little step over for Kyogo. I know language could be an issue there, but a little step over, and O'Reilly's running behind him.
But you're talking about leaving players on, and I totally agree that can score and be creative. Palmer's comes into that category.
Well, that's not a foul, is it?
O'Reilly comes into that category.
Referees sometimes make life a little bit tricky for them because it's so hard. There's a lot of really difficult decisions to make. You just don't need to be pernickety about those ones.
No, he's made several calls like that today, and they've all been wrong. But anyway, the
O is coming on, by the way. He's getting the jumper off and he's ready to go. They'll be hoping for a similar impact. Remember, he came on and scored the winner, didn't he, against St Mirren back at the start of last month, an 83rd minute winner.
This is the Todd Cantwell moment here. You take off the wrong player and there'll be much unhappiness. But I agree with Jim. You have to leave on anybody who's going. Don't touch Turnbull because he can score.
The good option, the good
Palmer
thing for
can score, O'Reilly can score. So who do you take off?
Take one. Take
Kyogo can score.
If you want to be controversial, you take Taylor off and just put McGregor to the left hand side, because Celtic dominate the ball anyway, and Taylor's not any defending to do. So from that perspective, but then that would mean you would have to change, the shape that you want to play, and it's a big risk. But at this moment in time, if he's just going to stick to the same formation, then that's it. But if he's going to have to change it, we'll soon find out.
It's David Turnbull who comes off.
What did I tell you? I told you. I'm sharp today. Sunday's good for me. I am on the ball today. Sit down, get the tranny turned up, and listen to some good
insight.
Good insight to the football.
So he's taken off the top goal scorer at Celtic this season.
Yeah, him and O'Reilly, I think. But the fact is that, listen, Turnbull's not been great today. He's had one really good shot, but as we've said before, a little bit like midweek Gordon with the controversy, he could have taken off any other ones and not been.
I know Matt Riley,
that much criticised.
Do you get players that become almost an easy target for these ones because it's like Matt Riley, Callum McGregor, none of them have done anything, but it's like you're the bottom of the pecking order sort of thing to David Turnbull.
For me, just a simple rule of thumb. He's the top goal scorer this season so far for Celtic. O'Reilly is a fine football player who has beyond measure proved that he's a good football player, but he's doing nothing.
There's less criticism coming Brendan Rodgers' way if he takes Turnbull off. 100%.
I honestly think he could have taken off Callum McGregor today. that's me personally,
because I think you need a goal though. You're not talking about the overall balance. You need a goal. You're not leaving Turnbull on.
I would have taken Callum McGregor off simply because I don't think he's needed today, in the sense of just sitting in front of the back four. Celtic's got enough possession. They could play any of those players in that area. So that me personally, I would have sacrificed the captain today.
The only thing I say about that, Jim, Celtic's best chance in the second half came for a terrific ball through from McGregor.
But Turnbull can make that pass. O'Reilly can make that pass. If you're going to play, he's the least likely to score out of those players. That's the way I would look at it. And today, Celtic need to take a risk to score a goal. Turnbull's got more chance. He's top goal scorer. O'Reilly's the same. So you take Callum McGregor. Has Callum scored this season? Maybe one, maybe.
Don't think he has.
So he's not going to really score. He might. I understand assists.
I hear your argument. I totally understand it.
I would take McGregor before I took Turnbull off. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, there would be absolutely no chance Brendan Rodgers would have made that decision. Absolute no chance.
Why not?
Because as Gordon says, I think when the team's playing the way it's playing, for a manager and Brendan Rodgers, it's the easy pick to take Turnbull. And I know that you can back that up. Listen, he scored against St Mirren on a Wednesday, he got man of the match against Ross County on a Saturday, scored a goal, he was left out and Celtic fans were quite happy. So
yeah, but I don't think that you make easy decisions if you're the Celtic manager. If you're the Celtic manager, you have to make tough decisions and big decisions. You're not getting that job to make the easy call. You make it to make the big calls. It would have been a big call to sacrifice the captain. Listen, I'm a huge McGregor fan. I think he's a magnificent player. I'm just saying the last couple of games, particularly when a team like St Johnstone, we've seen it, they've got one up front, they've got everybody back. Do you really need a sitting midfielder? You probably don't.
The fans are beginning to question Brendan Rodgers. We had them on last night, and the questions will multiply if they lose this game today, because of decisions like the one to take off Turnbull when you're really looking for a goal, and ignoring people who are doing nothing on the park and leaving them on. So they've got half an hour and they really are in trouble.
Chance Celtic crossed O'Reilly, deflected away for a corner. I suppose the second half as well is highlighting the obvious problem when you concede such a ludicrous goal, because it gives St Johnstone something to hang on to. We're 15 minutes in, this has been all Celtic. It's been attack versus defence, but obviously, again, to state the obvious, Celtic need to find two in this circumstance, Gordon. It's a bad combination if the attack's this blunt, but then you go and concede a goal like they did.
To be honest, I think it's one of these games that Celtic will either find two or they won't find any. I don't think they'll just find one. I think if they got that goal equalise, all of a sudden I think it would give them such a lift that they could go and win it, right? But just now, yes, they've got plenty of possession. They've had one good chance with Kyogo. But apart from that, once again, Craig Levein will be sitting there, an hour on the clock. I think Craig Levein will be quite satisfied. What's happening?
They look bereft of ideas.
I still think they're scored.
Yeah, I feel like they have attacked quite a lot in this second half.
I think there's a goal in Celtic here.
But anyway, 62 gone and they're still plugging away. St Johnstone is going to take a mammoth effort. They might need more from Mitov. There's a bit of space for Greg Taylor, just opened up, but Mikey Johnson's touch is a little bit heavy at the back post. He's been bright since he came on, Gordon, but again, no real end product yet.
He showed more spark in Yang, and I'm not having a go at Yang because Brendan Rodgers could have taken. Jim's actually talking about taking their captain off McGregor, which would never have heard of. So it tells you how bad Celtic have been, really, as in every player. But I think he looks lively. He looks like he's, he could create something for you. He's getting on the ball a lot more than what Yang did. So it'll be interesting to see if he can produce.
Celtic corner, it just wouldn't quite fall on the penalty spot. I can't really see if it was O or Matt O'Reilly, but it did drop in there and just wouldn't quite settle.
There's been one or two occasions when Celtic have got the ball wide that they have got a little bit more, something got more bodies because O's in there, Kyogo's getting in there. Obviously St John's have got a lot of bodies as well, but it does mean if you get a little ricochet, a little touch, there's more of a chance it'll fall to an attacking player in Celtic situation.
Oh, great ball from Greg Taylor. Finds Mikey Johnson in the box. He just slips though as he tries to cross it, and that's never going to end well. I think the flag went up.
Well, again, if he did,
maybe he didn't actually.
He slipped, but he certainly shouldn't be offside. That's for sure.
Is he offside?
I think he is.
Yeah, that's. Do you know something? That is amateur. It really is. You should never be getting caught offside from that. Never.
It was offside.
I go back to the bench. Mikey Johnson is the only change that has been made, and that's because
O's
I beg your pardon. But if you're again looking for inspiration, can you remember Callum McGregor touching the ball in the second half?
Well, I'm saying he's
he played the ball through to Kyogo.
He's not as influential, but I think because
was it not McGregor?
But I think he's.
I thought it was Alistair Johnson.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but the fact is, listen, he'll always go on the ball, never shies away from it, and it's, he always wants to try and dictate the play. My opinion was, the fact is that I think you could have played any of the players to do that today, because St. Johnstone have got that goal advantage, so therefore their job now is to protect it, and I think Tumble can play the passes, O'Reilly can play the passes, and plus they're more of a threat as a goal. It should have been.
Mitov just dives, pats it away. It was one of those crosses that looked like it was going to evade everyone at the back post. Matt O'Reilly was ghosting in there as well, and it bounces. Mitov does well. I'm not sure it's going in, but he still does well to react, because it skips up just in front of him.
It's a good save, that, because the player's coming in. He can't gamble too early. He has to wait and see, and he does the right thing, which is push it away for a corner. It's another good save from the goalkeeper.
Celtic with a good few corners, none coming to anything yet. Falls to Kyogo, edge of the box. There's just no space. St. Johnstone are doing really well in those scenarios. It's worked out to that far side. Palmer going to have to produce something, and he doesn't. He's been robbed of it. He's had a very quiet game, as Luis Palma. Did well in the first minute or whatever it was, and then we've not really seen him since, Hugh.
Yeah, I just look at the overall picture, Gordon, and it's watching an old movie.
I don't think the second half feels a bit different. I've no idea if Celtic will score, but this is better than the first, is it not?
Well, they have to. I mean, the sheer desperation now. I mean, to lose at Perth will be a disaster.
No doubt, but it just feels like it's just attack after attack now.
Coming to nothing time and time again.
But there was not even an attack after attack in the first half.
Yeah, there's waves of attack, there's no doubt about it, and Celtic are much more of a threat. I don't think there's any question of that.
Good fingertip, Mitov. It's going to fall edge of the box, and who finds the back of the net but Callum McGregor?
Sherry, take him off.
With M&D Green Pharmacy.
What do we know? St. Johnstone 1, Celtic 1, game on, 66 gone. Callum McGregor with the finish rifled, and it might have taken a nick. It was going to have to take something special to beat Mitov in this form. It all started good improvisation with the back heel. Mitov could only tip it, and it falls to McGregor. I think it is a clean strike, actually, and a wonderful one at that. And you lot know, and this is you put your opinions up there to be shot at. The clip of everybody saying that McGregor should have been taken off.
Who said that?
Will be
I never said that.
But also,
revealed.
we used the term inspiration from the Hugh there, and Hugh said, you're looking for an inspiration. Well, that's what the captain does. He can be inspirational. My call was earlier on, when you're looking for a goal, doesn't score. I said, has he scored this season?
First one of the season.
But there you go. So that's
Jim,
when the big players stand up to be counted.
You don't need to worry, because I can see the Celtic fans who were also tweeting that McGregor should have been taken off.
I'm no
I can see it.
It was whatever.
I can see it. They were in
I'm
agreement.
delighted for Cal McGregor. He's a magnificent player, and he has brought Celtic back into the game, although they're waiting in the VAR call, aren't they?
There's a check.
I agreed
for
with
offside.
Offside.
I agreed with Brendan. I thought
checking offside though.
Aye, I'm saying they're
do
checking
you think
VAR.
it is? I don't know.
Again,
Must
listen,
he
you
take
never know
McGregor
deals with the
off after
lines.
this?
You never know.
Do you know, I said that if Celtic get one, they'd go and get the winner, and I do believe that. If
Well,
it
we don't even know if
stands,
this stands yet.
yeah, if it stands, I think Celtic will go and win this game. Because you're right, Gordon. As much as they've not really tested goalkeeper, they've been a lot better second half.
Yeah, keeper's had a couple of good saves, isn't he? But listen, we know it's a goal. It's got to be a goal.
Goal stands, we think. Yep. Yes, goal stands. St. Johnstone 1, Celtic 1. I know Hugh had his doubts. It did feel a bit more like that was coming in the second half.
All day.
Well,
and I think the second one will come.
Joe Hart's been criticised heavily, and rightly so, but I don't know if he's still out there in the second half.
Do you know who I think, honestly, and there's a wee argument to this. I think Mikey Johnson's come on and
he's done well,
given a bit of sharpness, a bit of brightness, and I really do. And plays a big part in that. That's a terrific bit of skill. And Callum McGregor, I can understand, Jim. We all make predictions, and then all of a sudden we get shot.
No issue with it whatsoever.
But the captain stands up and puts the ball in the back of net. So,
but I think again changing the shape itself, because he's got more bodies in and around the box. As you say, Johnson's been more positive. but there in the box and Kyogo in the box, it just distracts us. And Johnson plays a little bit, maybe gives a little bit more space to the midfield players, and Callum McGregor took full advantage of it. It was a outstanding finish from the captain, and that's what you want. You want your captain to come on the big moments when the team needs you most, and it's not your natural part of your game. Then you say to them, no, listen, I'm the guy that can lift you here. And now there's Celtic will be chasing Evan.
And it's flashed across again and hacked away a combination of Mitov and the St Johnstone defence. Is the onus now on as St Johnstone go up the pitch? And that's what I was going to say, because to try and just hang on to this in this fashion, Gordon, looks difficult. They need to try and get up the pitch, and they're doing well at that right now.
Yeah, they've got to try. They're at home, Gordon. They would grab your hand off for a point, no doubt in that. But if you keep going with this plan in the second half, and the way Celtic are starting to move the ball a bit, and Jim's quite right when he's talking about O's now up there, there's a double threat with Kyogo, there's more Celtic players getting into positions in forward areas. I don't think you could withstand another 20 plus minutes of this.
A penalty claim for St Johnstone, but a fairly lukewarm one. Kyogo's been cemented there, not unfairly, I don't think. The ball was won and all that stuff, but I think he'll have felt the full effects of it, that's for sure.
Yeah, his touch, he just stretched for it, and he just ran into a bigger guy. Really, it's as simple as that. He's stretching, he see it, and he does clatter into him, but it's one of those situations where I don't bother. We just saw a Graham Carey going down it, which is never a penalty. And there's the lines getting drawn, and listen, I don't know how that works, but you can see a dotted line from St Johnson's shoulder, which is marginally ahead of O, so it looks as if the call's correct. But listen, when they start doing those dotted lines from shoulders, anything could be happening.
Yeah, I think they say in our version of Hawkeye, if the two lines, there usually needs to be about, I think it's about 5 centimetres, or Celtic have taken it quickly, and it is. What a save that is!
Offside, but what a save it is!
The flag is up.
Even their goalkeeper can't believe that.
What a save.
I want that flag to not go up, because that needs to be save of the season.
Yeah, that is phenomenal save.
And, Palmer's just gone too early.
But even forget that. What a save this is. That is. I'll tell you what, Kyogo is delighted that's offside, because I would have been pig sick if that was
all
me.
credit to the goalie. I mean, he doesn't know it's offside, and that was cat-like reflexes.
That is Hugh.
Yeah. But that, it's a great save, but it was offside, and there's no arguing with it as St Johnstone makes substitutions to dig in further.
Yeah, they have to, Gordon. This game just feels very different. It's still miles off a good Celtic performance, but it just feels different.
Yeah, I don't know if they brought on obviously Kane to go and do a little bit. Jim and I were talking about it, give a player 60-70 minutes, go and run your heart out. We've got Kane, experienced player, get Stevie May that can come on and do a shift for you as well. I think that was always going to be the tactic from St Johnstone, but they've got to get up the pitch, because if they keep sitting there the way they're sitting, it worked in the first half okay, because Celtic for me weren't sharp. I think the substitutions for Celtic have made such a difference. They look more lively and a bigger threat. I think St Johnstone need to be careful.
I also think that listen, Kane will chase pigeons. He's a real workhorse for the team. He'll do everything. But I think when the substitutes come on there from St Johnstone, you can see them kind of looking at their shape a little bit, because Kyogo's playing in that pocket. That's disrupted their shape a little bit, and that's given them more problems. Sorry, that's a wasted ball from Palmer there. I don't know if that's a cross or a shot, but I think he was trying for a waste, isn't it?
He was trying for a goal.
That's terrible.
He was going for the Hollywood finish there, but that's not what Celtic required.
Yeah, I just think that St John's have had to adapt now, or have to change, and it's harder when when it's in mid play. If it's half time, you can talk to the players, but they've had a game plan. Now the game plan has to change, because Kyogo's playing in there, O's stretching the defence, he's making the runs in behind, Kyogo's coming off in the little pockets, and Celtic definitely look more of a goal threat.
I think the stat is that's Callum McGregor scored more against St Johnstone than any other.
That's the reason why you leave him on. You get teams, you're lucky teams.
Funnily enough, I read this earlier. It's the same story for James Forrest. If he's to come on,
he bags him against St Johnstone.
He has scored
5, I think, against him 1-2. I think that was that game.
He's got 10 in his.
Yeah, but I think he scored 5 in the one game, didn't he?
4, I think, certainly.
4 or 5.
I've got to say, Mikey Johnston's been lively down the right hand
He's
side.
been positive,
Very
isn't he?
yeah.
You know, at least he's doing what a winger
like
should
it.
do, which we're talking about earlier on,
100%.
almost old school. Get at the full back and try and get crosses in.
Yeah, Celtic have had a good go at practicing corners this afternoon, but that one doesn't come to anything.
No.
Take him off.
Take him off.
Quit while you're ahead as Callum McGregor launches
He really
one into
should
the
have get
stand.
that down and play the pass wide
Yeah.
again, get the pressure on. I mean, for a player of his quality and his game intelligence, that was poor.
But it tells you they understand that a draw isn't a good result for Celtic. It's just not, in the grand scheme of things, a passable result.
But you don't want to lose 4 points to St Johnstone in 2 games, Hugh.
Yeah.
You know, that's and not being disrespectful. St Johnstone, they'll have bigger battles to fight in the coming weeks against other teams. But if you're playing Celtic and you're sitting there in 11th, you're not expecting a lot of return.
Yeah, but I think again, from Craig Levine's perspective, he's looking at the energy of his team, the organisation of his team, the desire, and he's getting that in abundance. There's Callum McGregor again, bursting forward.
To come man of the match since you were going to win.
Well, that's what happens. Listen, good players,
Inspiration.
rise to the challenge. I don't think anybody's really been telling what I think, but
he said the word on there. Duff was going to take it off.
yeah, but I think what he's doing is Gordon. He's leading by example. He's dragging his team up, and you need players to do that because. Well, in the first half, he was similar to every other player. They were almost going through the motions, but second half, they've realised what's at stake, and now they're really pushing. St Johnstone are hanging on in there now.
There was Giacomakis Day last season, of course, so we in store for another one like that.
Could it be substitution?
Yeah.
I think the substitutions have made such a difference to Celtic. Good movement now, they're getting in bed.
That was good play. I think
O'Reilly
should be on the, should be on the gamble.
I think that's a terrific little touch. I think O'Reilly was surprised that he had that in his locker. To be fair, I think that's
set
the
up for the
problem.
goal.
It's the second time he's done it,
Yeah. Help with the goal as well, though.
The old back heel, St Johnstone are going to have to put in some defensive shift in these last 15 minutes. It is backs to the wall stuff, but still they have that valuable point as things stand. They're snapping into tackles still. Mikey Johnston's trying to wriggle out of them. Callum McGregor is now pulling the strings since he scored that goal, as this one's worked across. Palmer's still been a bit quieter, but he tries to float one. Mitov will take that.
Yeah, I think that was a kiddie on. I'm going to play it quickly here and then I'll just wait because I've got no one up the pitch. But no, listen, he's been quiet. I suppose like all of those type of players, those flair players, there's always a moment where they can change it and they can win the game for you. But from Celtic's point of view, the only thing Brendan Rodgers will be concerned about is they get a penalty because they've been so poor at penalties, and with David Turnbull missed one and scored one, but he's off. But in terms of being more positive, yeah, they're definitely being more positive, but you've still got to test the goalkeeper a little bit more.
Joe Hart's been a spectator second half.
Lucky for Celtic.
Yeah, well,
You're a bit cruel, Hugh.
Well, he's not. I mean, listen, let's be honest. Gordon, the goal that Celtic lost was farcical. It was a farcical goal.
I can't disagree with that.
They've got. If you know yourself, if you lose a goal, lose it to the quality of the opposition, not something as cheap as that. That was a really poor goal, but. Celtic again and St Johnstone just look as if they're beginning to tire, which is understandable, and Celtic look as if they can go and try and get the winner now. Yeah,
they're flooding forward at every opportunity. Celtic, Matt O'Reilly, what a strike that is.
What a
goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
You just felt that had been coming. This game's turned on its head. St Johnstone 1, Celtic 2. If the first strike was good from Callum McGregor, the second one from Matt O'Reilly might be even better. It was a sweeping move from the back. The midfielder picked it up, lashed it into the top corner, and even the impressive Mitov couldn't keep that one out. 78 gone. St Johnstone 1, Celtic 2.
Well, they have responded to the challenge. To be fair to them, they have played poorly for long periods of this game, but they have responded to the challenge because they were looking at disaster, and they've had 2 finishes from the top drawer.
It was written all over it today. I said earlier, it's either none or 2.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. It was one of those games. But I'll tell you what, I don't care what kind of form you're in as a goalkeeper this afternoon, you ain't saving that.
Nah.
You're not getting near that. What a finish.
That's his bad foot to his right foot.
Oh, what a great move from Celtic. You've got to say.
Listen, and again, the substitute, Mikey Johnson, a little back keeper again. Kyogo dropping it in that little pocket, change of shape, had a great first touch, plays it into O'Reilly's path. O'Reilly doing what he does so well, making that run from midfield and absolutely catching it as perfect as you possibly can, right in the top corner. Magnificent goal from Celtic's point of view. We were saying there that St Johnstone were looking tired, spaces were starting to open up, and Celtic have taken full advantage of it.
Kyogo's been booked for something. I'm not entirely sure.
It was an
what.
off the ball thing with the goalkeeper.
Patting the goal in the head, maybe a wee bit condescending or
No,
something.
I think that was no. Do you know what I think it is? I think Mitov's been booked.
Right.
Both been booked.
Well, according to the
Palmer's off
the graphic on TV, but I wonder if there was just a mistake there, which can happen. James Forrest on for Palmer.
Yeah, again, Palmer looked as if he was stretching there, maybe a bit of cramp or something like that, after maybe playing a few games, but he was quite ineffectual today. They didn't really have any positive impact in the game today. So James Forrest coming on, using the experience. Celtic a different way of approaching it now, and St Johnstone will have a different way as well.
Celtic have got a real swagger about them now, don't they?
Yeah.
It was just missing for long spells, and James Forrest trying to put this one to bed. Saved Mitov.
Is it Mikey Johnson?
If Mikey Johnson's hair was a bit longer, he might have gotten the end of that.
But all of a sudden they started to look like Celtic. There was some other lot going about masquerading as a team in green and white hoops, and now all of a sudden, that's a nasty one.
I think Jim made a good point. When you set out to play that style of football, you get tired. You're chasing non-stop. You eventually start, the concentration goes, a little bit of the sharpness goes, and Celtic have just got too much quality.
Yeah, but I think that when as you said,
that not a booking?
I think he did get booked. But I think when you see Celtic here, it was James Forrest as a shot. I think the keeper could maybe do a wee bit better there, but Mikey Johnson almost on the end of the parry from Mitov. And just look at that, Kyogo's run into the goalkeeper there a little bit or something.
Yeah, maybe they did both get booked. We didn't see the Mitov reaction in the aftermath of the goal. Matt O'Reilly's going to hit another from distance. He's feeling confident, but he doesn't catch the second one.
You've got to say, right, Celtic come in for a bit of criticism first half. I think Celtic have been very good second half. I think they've upped the pace, they've moved the ball, they've made the substitutions from the manager, they've got back into the game, then they've got an absolute brilliant goal, and they've just dominated this second half of the game.
Yeah, they have dominated it. And we said, after maybe 5 minutes in the second half, Celtic had to show a different side to them. They had to show a real desire and show the fans what it means to play for Celtic. Well, they've done that. They've rolled their sleeves up. They've been on the front foot. They've been determined. They've showed all that desire and that real determination to say what this means to us, 3 points means to us. And so far, they look as if they're going to capitalise on that with the whole 3 points.
Get another, but it's lashed over the bar by Kyogo. It was laid off a fairly good chance. I don't think he finished with as much conviction as he would have liked.
Yeah, it's not like Kyogo. He normally hits a target. I think he just bend it there and he's went for power, but he's maybe just got to get his head down and just bend it into the far corner. But again, he's had more touches of the ball, he's more lively. O's been very positive since he's come on in terms of occupying the two centre backs, giving space. Mikey Johnson's been better. Obviously O'Reilly and McGregor have scored 2 fantastic goals. So overall, Celtic have been night and day in the last half hour in terms of that willingness to go and take the game to St Johnstone. I think St Johnstone have wilted, I have to say that, but that's due to the constant movement of Celtic in terms of the ball. And I think Brendan Rodgers will be absolutely thrilled.
I think the manager takes
the
a bit
game
of credit, Jim.
Yeah.
He recognised in the first half Yang, he recognised the way Celtic were playing, he's made the substitutions, he's tweaked the tactics, and Celtic have responded. Joe Hart's been an absolute spectator second half.
Yeah, the whole game really. One save in the first half, a little deflection and other than the goal.
He was a spectator when St Johnstone scored.
Oh, you've cracked that one already. Come on.
No, I haven't.
No, but I think that Celtic deserve a lot of credit. As we know that Celtic should be winning this game, we know they should be winning it relatively comfortably. But when you're a goal down with less than half an hour to play, and you know, a team has been really determined and organised and disciplined. You've had to try and change things around, and the manager has done that. He's taken a little bit of a risk. We've all got our opinions on it. He's been proven right. And Kyogo's coming off now with 5 minutes plus injury time to go,
and the Wata is coming
Wata's coming on, so they'll go back to, you know, that kind of 4-3-3 situation now. So that St Johnstone will throw an extra body forward. They'll have a wee gamble now in the last 5 minutes. Celtic will be a wee bit concerned because of what happened last week against Motherwell, when you lose a last goal, and sometimes that just sits in the back of your mind, Gordon. You know that if you've lost late goals, you can get a wee bit edgy.
Yeah, only way I see St Johnstone getting back in is that old Achilles heel for me just now with Celtic's set play.
Yeah.
But I think they're in total control of this game. If there was going to be another goal, I wouldn't be surprised if Celtic put it in the back of the net. But look, give them.
And then Hugh Keevins' prediction, be like 3-1.
Yeah, I said 3-1.
Have you not got 2-1, Jim?
No, I said 3-0.
All right, I went 2-1.
No, you went 2.
I thought it was 2-1. I went.
You can always play it back, you know. We actually have that capability. It's incredible to think what modern technology can do.
Okay, then.
I think the first priority for Celtic, and again we go back to Motherwell last weekend, the first priority is to make sure that you hold on to the 3 points you've got at the moment. Whether it goes 3-1 or not is an irrelevance. They've got to hold on to what they have, because to fail to do that would be very, very poor from them.
Yeah, it's game management. It's game management now. You know, you've just got to make sure that you dictate the game, and St Johnstone will try and take a wee risk. Can you capitalise on the spaces and put the game finally to bed?
Yeah, Greg Taylor's just going to flight one in, but you could almost see what he was trying, but St Johnstone would always be in a good position to cut that one out.
Yeah, again, it's maybe a wee bit deep to try that. He's got to be maybe a wee bit further up the pitch, but again, he is higher up the pitch. Johnson will be higher up the pitch. I think Stevie May's going on now in the last few minutes, which you would expect from St Johnstone. They've got nothing to lose now. They'll throw an extra body up front. They'll go pretty much 4-4-2.
Stevie's the silver bullet. He's the one now that they've put their faith in to get the goal that would, to use a Glasgow word, scunner Celtic.
Yeah, I just think that, listen, we're here, we can see the overall performance. First maybe hour wasn't quite good enough from Celtic's perspective, but the last half hour they've definitely raised the pace of the game, the flow of the game, and they've taken full control. They've had full control in most of the game without being as much of a threat in the penalty box, but in the second half they've been a lot better in and around that area, Gordon.
Good play from Celtic down this left hand side there. They're dominating the ball, dominating the game. It's okay St Johnstone putting players on up front. You've got to get the ball to them, and so far, as Jim's quite rightly says, game management. Just keep the ball. If the opening comes, then the third will certainly kill it. But 2-1, they look
That's going to be a
comfortable.
corner. St Johnstone can protest all they like, but it was quite clear the final touch.
I know we can have the wee comments on the Callum McGregor situation going, but even in the game, I'm watching Callum McGregor now has changed even his role. He's making runs in behind, he's going forward more because he doesn't need to sit. So whether it was a change of personnel or a change of instruction from the manager to Callum, he's certainly much more productive going forward, and I think he's certainly helped the team there.
Corner to Celtic does find its way to the back post. There's just so many bodies. James Forrest tries to shape one, but it goes wide of the post.
Well, they're in command of the game. They're 88 minutes gone. There'll be 4 or 5 minutes added on, so it's far from over yet. But as Jim Duffy said, it's about game management now. If you lose an equalising goal, I'd like to hear your excuse.
Yeah, to a team who's not had a shot at goal in the second half, even a cross or anything. Really, they've just been completely ineffective in going forward. Listen, they came out. We said that at half time. You can give all the instructions you want. Don't sit too deep. Try and squeeze up when you can. Try and get on the counter attack. Do what you've done in the first half. But players, when they play against these teams like Celtic, they think we're 1-0 up. Let's just keep it, and they get deeper and deeper and deeper. And Celtic start to just push and push and push. The one thing you can guarantee about a Celtic team, not always 100% works for them, but they will always be looking to win the game. They're never going to just accept a 1-1 draw or losing the game. They're always going to try and score and win the football match.
Whilst this one reaches its conclusion, let's go to Ibrox and bring you some team news, because it's a very interesting selection from Philippe Clement. Will he play Cantwell? Where will he play him? What other changes will be made? So many questions, and Roger Hannah has the answers.
Well, the only question Rangers fans asking as a roll up at Ibrox this afternoon: has there been peace in our time between Philippe Clement and Todd Cantwell after that high profile substitution here against Aris Limassol on Thursday night? The answer is yes. Todd Cantwell starts for Rangers this afternoon. I'll give you the team straight away. Gordon Jack Butland's in goal. It's a back four of the skipper James Tavernier. Recalled centre halves Connor Goldson and Leon Balogun, who both missed that 1-1 draw in midweek. Bonabaris is just fit and starts at left back. It's a midfield three: Todd Cantwell, John Lundstrom and Tom Lawrence. And then up front, Ross McCausland, who scored his first goal for Rangers after coming on for Cantwell in midweek. He starts. Cyril Dessers starts in the number 9 role, and Abdallah Sima, who scored in Paisley earlier in the season, makes up the front three. On the bench, McCrory, Ridvan and Suter, Lamos, Cifuentes and Matondo, Sterling, Davis and Danilo. I can give you the St Mirren team as well. They will start. Zach Hemming in goal. It's a back three: Marcus Fraser, Alec Gogic and Richard Taylor, who's passed a late fitness test. Midfield, Ryan Flynn, Mark O'Hara, the skipper, who scored more goals against Rangers, 6, than any other team in his career. Kellen Boyd Muntz and Scott Tanzer, I should say, make up the midfield, with Greg Kiltie and Conor McMenamin supporting Jonah Ayunga. On the bench for the visitors are Minsky, Bolton and Dunn, Small, Bacchus and Olusanya, Jameson, Grieve and Mandron. Of course, with Celtic turning round that game at Perth this afternoon, Gordon, their lead will be 11 points, with Rangers about to kick off the first of 2 games in hand. It's a huge day, a huge month for Philippe Clement. A raft of league fixtures, a Europa League crunch at Real Betis, and of course that Viaplay Cup final against Aberdeen at Hampden 2 weeks today. 2 1-1 draws in the last week. They've raised many questions, but Rangers still unbeaten in the 9 games under the Belgian, and unbeaten in 10 altogether, because of course Stephen Davis was an interim charge when Rangers won 3-0 in Paisley just before Clement's appointment. Tavernier get 2, Sima get 1 that day. That was the day of Ryan Strange red card. He's now missing for 3 months after groin surgery, and the Buddies arrive here today chasing a first Ibrox win since 1991. Kevin McGowan the match winner that day. Stephen Robinson's side dropped to 4th after Hearts win at Kilmarnock yesterday. They lost at Ross County on Tuesday night, and it's only 2 wins in 9 for the visitors here this afternoon. Be a fascinating game, Gordon. Rangers v St Mirren.
Yeah, very interesting team news. We will analyse that in more depth as that game edges closer. But Cantwell plays, Lawrence plays, Lammers doesn't, and Dessers leads the line instead of Danilo. So quite a bit to get through there. 5 added on in Perth. We've played 2 of them, which means Celtic 3 more minutes to hang on and do what Roger Hannah suggested they might do and stretch that lead to 11. But it is not over yet, and there is another chance here for St Johnstone. We've not seen much of them attacking in the second half, but here they go. They're into the box. They've crossed it in, and Joe Hart saves at the back post. I was waiting on the whistle. Looked like everyone had stopped, but Celtic really clinging on here at the end, which we did not see coming.
What a save
Well,
from
to
Joe
be
Hart.
fair, yeah, to be fair to Joe Hart, who had a very poor time of it.
Well, now Celtic are away here. Celtic are 2-on-1 at the back, 3-on-1 if they fancy it. It's clipped across. Here's James Forrest. Game over.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
What an end to the game. St Johnstone thought they had snatched an equaliser. Great save, Joe Hart. Celtic up the other end. James Forrest scores against St Johnstone again. He's scored more against them than any other opponent in his career, and it's St Johnstone 1, Celtic 3.
Well, Joe Hart's save is every bit as good as the one from Mitov in the first half, and what a twist of fate. He saves at one end, Celtic race to the other end and finish the game with a James Forrest goal. So Hart, he made mistakes. He was partially to blame for St Johnstone's goal, but he has more than redeemed himself there, because if that goes in, it's a bad day for Celtic. He saves it, they run to the other end of the park, and it's all gone retro for Celtic, with Mikey Johnson on one wing and James Forrest on the other, and retro, including Joe Hart, Retro wins.
There's two things to that there.
The finish.
Fantastic save and a terrific finish. You're right, Jim. I'm just watching Forrest. He loves St. Johnstone, don't he? He loves scoring against St. Johnstone. It was always on the cards when he come on, but that is a terrific finish. But that all stems from a terrific save from the goalkeeper, Celtic's goalkeeper.
And Awata do well in the process as well, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you hear these phrases all the time, small margins and all that. That's exactly the example of. That's why managers will say it. Joe Hart. Listen, the thing is, you know, we're getting certain players stick here, and they've come up with the goods, and that's what top players have to do. They have to stand up and take the criticism and then produce. Joe Hart produces a magnificent save. Celtic go on the counter attack, as you said. Awata does really well, but again, the finish, the
Celtic
finish
might score a fourth here if they want to.
Yeah, St. Johnstone are done and dusted now. They're just stuffing not right out of them.
Oh, it's a strange finish from Matt O'Reilly. It looked more like a defensive block. There was Celtic players queuing up there. They really could have made it 4.
He's just overstretching again in the last bit. Again, that's O'Reilly getting forward. I think might be. No, he's not offside, but he could have probably done a bit better there actually for a player of his quality. But getting back to the finish from James Forrest, outside the right foot, real composure. Gordon said earlier on he's a big fan of James Forrest and he knows he can still be effective, and that's the case.
All over. It's all over. Let's go to Perth and get the story there with Andrew McLean.
St Johnstone 1, Celtic 3, the full-time score. It wasn't looking good for Brendan Rodgers' side at the break, but second half goals from Callum McGregor, Matt O'Reilly and James Forrest have sealed the points for Celtic. They did start pretty well. They had opening efforts from Kyogo and Matt O'Reilly. They just couldn't get those shots quite right. Joe Hart then had to be alert at the other end. It was a shot in the turn from Jayasimi, but he made the save. Then a big save at the other end, Mitov, and it wasn't his last of the game. 25 minutes in, he clawed David Turnbull's shot away from at the top corner. Celtic in that first period, they started to lack ideas. They got a bit slack as well, and St Johnstone made the most of it and took the lead. A corner curled into the 6-yard box. Matt O'Reilly directed it towards his own goal, and it was a complete mess in there. Joe Hart and Liam Scales were involved as well. They couldn't clear it, bounced around the box before eventually being squeezed over the line for 1-0. Dayalang Jayasemi has been credited with the final touch on that one. Celtic actually booed off at half time by some of their supporters. Brendan Rodgers knew he had to make some changes, and the one that he did make at the break, Yang came off and on came Mikey Johnson, and immediately Celtic had upped the tempo in the game. There was a really good chance about 10 minutes after the break. Alistair Johnson, a really nice reverse pass into the box. Kyogo was one-on-one with Mitov, but Mitov came off his line so quickly and managed to block the shot. Then 65 minutes in, Lewis Palmer had a dangerous in-swinging cross. Matt O'Reilly just couldn't make the contact. Mitov still had to divert that one round for a corner though, but Celtic were ramping it up. A goal looked more and more likely, and it was the captain who got the goal to equalise at a clearing header in the St Johnstone box. Only made it as far as Callum McGregor, and a really nice low strike past Mitov to level things up, and that ramped up the atmosphere in here with the Celtic fans and the players as well. They completed the turnaround to 10 minutes from time. What a goal it was as well. A really nice quick break. There was a back heel flick by Mikey Johnson into the path of Kyogo. He then passed it to Matt O'Reilly. One touch towards the edge of the box, then unleashed an absolute rocket into the top corner to send the Celtic fans wild. It looked as if they might just see out the game comfortably. However, big drama right at the death as well. Joe Hart had to pull off a huge save in injury time, but that wasn't the end of it, because Celtic broke up the park. And at the end, it was James Forrest who got the finish with the outside of his boot. He'd just come off the bench and he made it 3-1. So Celtic now 11 points clear of Rangers, who have 2 games in hand. And of course, that one against St Mirren starts shortly. The full-time score here at McDermott Park: St Johnstone 1, Celtic 3.
Must have been some half-time team talk Brendan Rodgers delivered, Gordon Dalziel.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
You can ask Jim while you finish your biscuit if you want.
It was a response I think everyone concerned with Celtic was looking for. It was poor first half, let's not be kidded. They went in 1-0 down. I thought the substitutions were excellent. Change of shape, helped Celtic, created more. I thought Mikey Johnson gave them a real spark, I've got to say. Oh, come on. Gave the Kyogo that licence just to drop a little bit deeper. Look, games can change very quickly. 2-1, you're thinking St Johnstone don't look like they're going to score. Joe Hart, what a save. Celtic, the team there, on the counter, right up the park. James Forrest loves scoring against St Johnstone. Terrific finish.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think over the piece, Celtic deserved to win. There's no question about that. For the vast majority of 90 minutes, they were the better side. They went a bit flat midway through the second half when they kind of ran out of ideas a little bit, and they get one of sloppy passes, and they kept putting the ball to the pitch and getting caught offside, and just not their normal sharpness in terms of the final third. But the second half, they were better. The goalkeepers got 2 or 3 meet-off, that is for St Johnstone, 2 or 3 fantastic saves. They've scored 3 goals. They've came back. They've shown a real strength of character, Celtic, today. I think that was a big statement from Celtic, because myself, Gordon, Hugh, we're sitting here saying, quite critical because we're expecting more. Well, all credit to Celtic. They raised their game, they raised their performance levels, they managed to get the 3 points, and they've done it with a wee bit of style as well. So I think that's a big result for Celtic. People might say, well, put it in context, it's St Johnstone you're playing. But nevertheless, from the last week's performances, the last couple of games, go down today, not at their best, changing the dynamics of the game. Brilliant from Celtic, deserve a lot of credit.
The sequence of events involving Joe Hart and James Forrest are astonishing. At 2-1, St Johnstone are piling in, and the header is goal bound. It's a goal all the way to make it 2-2, and Joe Hart pulls off this incredible save, redolent of his greatest days in the game at Man City or whatever. And Celtic run to the other end of the park, and James Forrest recalls history as well by a typical James Forrest finish to make it 3-1. First half, Celtic were not involved in the game. They were insipid, lacking in inspiration. Second half, they might have taken a while to get the equalising goal, but what a goal it was, and then go on to score 2 other sensational goals. So Joe Hart to blame for the St Johnstone goal, and Joe Hart to thank for Celtic winning this match.
What a game in Perth. Celtic come back down the road with all 3 points, and now it is over to Rangers to see how they respond, taking on St Mirren at Ibrox. There's Hibs, Aberdeen as well. 0141 951 1025. If you'd like to give us a call, I suppose we could open the lines a bit early, spread it out a bit today, given that it's going to be a long afternoon. So Celtic fans, what did you make of that game? Call us right now and we'll try and get you on next. 0141 951 1025.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard with Call Robert Accident Repair. Fault and non-fault insurance specialist. Robert will even pay your excess.
Ding dong, maverick on high. Magic Mike spells are ringing. Ding dong, Shazam in the sky. And Spider-Man is swinging.
Upgrade to Sky Cinema for more of the latest blockbusters like Top Gun Maverick, Magic Mike The Last Dance, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Fast 10 and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. 2 free View Cinema tickets a month and Paramount Plus. Sky Cinema.
10 movies made Christmas.
That's good value.
Sky TV contract and Paramount Plus setup required. View tickets valid Sunday to Thursday. Limits and restrictions apply. See sky.com for terms.